Did you ever think you would make it? I feel I'm so close, I could taste sweet victory. I know this life meant for me. Yeah, why would you bet on Goliath when we got Bet David? Valuetainment, giving value's contagious. This world of entrepreneurs, we get no value to haters. How they run, homie, look what I become. I'm the one.
All right, folks, you missed it. Adam's here pitching some headshot guy to Vinny for Vinny to go take some new pictures. And then Tom on the other side's getting pissed off because of something that happened to him in the morning that he doesn't want to talk to you guys about. A little bit sensitive.
Very sensitive.
He's emotional this morning.
We'll keep it here together. Who knows? Maybe some of the Little Princess shots will come out here today. But we got a lot of stuff going on, folks, that we got to talk about. There's some interesting things with 50 Cent. 50 Cent went to D.C. Did he go to D.C.?
Capitol Hill.
He goes to Capitol Hill. You should see what 50 Cent... What is he doing going to the White House, taking pictures with Speaker Johnson, with Boebert, with
my
Nancy Pelosi, with everybody. And then he was asked a question about some stuff about black votes, and his answer is very, very interesting. Then this Spanish comedian made the mistake of going after a father, and the father made sure to come back and pay a visit. And let's just say this comedian wasn't expecting this from the father, and the father wasn't there to hear him laugh. It was a different situation. You have to hear that as well.
He canceled his teeth.
NVIDIA officially passed up Apple as the second largest company. They're officially a $3 trillion company. Tom just showed me this. We're going to talk about that. And not only that, but you know there's 17 companies now that are worth over $500 billion.
Jeez.
Exxon used to be number 3 back in the days. Now it's 17. Can you imagine, like, oil business has fallen behind tech? 17. We'll talk about NVIDIA. Media scrambles for survival ahead of 2024. The number one issue for young Americans this election, not student loans, not abortion, not guns. Ready, folks? Housing is the number one issue for young Americans. We have one other story here from Newsweek. RFK Jr.'s popularity has collapsed. Is that really what the case is? Or is Newsweek not happy about the fact that maybe he's taking some votes away from Biden? Who knows? We'll talk about it.
I'm going with that.
Americans are warned a terror attack is likely after surge in threats. Putin has started wearing concealed body armor at public events. And this next story is Israel reportedly used fake social media accounts to garner support from U.S. lawmakers.
Weird.
On Gaza war. Kind of weird. E-Trade possibly ousting GameStop bull Roaring Kitty spurs online backlash. We'll talk about that. Twitter, is now allowing porn on its platform, which means we just lost half our audience.
That's why Tom was late.
And by the way, I have to tell you guys a story about porn. It's very important for you guys to hear it, and it has to do with Vinny.
Oh, God.
But we have to talk about it. It's very important, very important. All right.
My favorite porn is on C-SPAN.
Why this AI researcher thinks there's 99.9% chance that AI wipes us out. Very warm, exciting, positive story there, but something that you ought to be thinking about if you're a business owner, and I'll give you some feedback here in a minute. Texas Group plans stock exchange to compete with New York Stock Exchange and NASDAQ. Americans have more investments than ever before. The dollar is the strongest it's ever been since 1980s. Job openings plummet. A new report, lowest since February of 2021. Beloved Mexican restaurant chain abruptly shuts down 48 restaurants. And if you used to have lunch with me back in 2002, 2003 in Encino, I was at this place 3-4 times a week, and I'll tell you what it is. I can tell you exactly what I ordered. I used to go there so many times. It was awesome. Majority of middle-class Americans say they struggle financially. Ready for this one, folks? Some realtors and loan officers maybe listen to this and getting excited, hoping that America follows Europe's lead. European Central Bank set to cut rates for the first time since 2019. Huh? And guess what Tom told me in the morning when I walked in?
What?
They officially lowered the rates this morning, but European Central Bank. Not American Central Bank. So this next story is an interesting one. America's commute to work is getting longer and longer. Biden signals intention to address border crisis, reduces asylum entries. And then last story here, which is very interesting. I mean, this is like a story we have. It may be more important than anything else. Remote Amazon tribe finally connects to the internet only to wind up hooked on porn and social media. This is an
Thanks,
actual
Elon.
story from the New York Post.
Yeah, this is
that will address.
This is the Amazon in Brazil,
Rob was-
not Amazon tribe of workers in
That's right.
Seattle.
Rob was all over this yesterday.
By the way, can you imagine they're watching a podcast? Hey, what's wrong with you? Leave us alone. Let us do what we want to do. Anyways, let me talk to some of you guys. You had a call yesterday with one of our guys that we consult for, and his fear was, Pat, you know, what do you think about all this stuff that people are saying with AI, and AI is going to take over the world, and, you know, AI is going to do this, and AI is going to do that, and AI is going to replace all of us. Should I be worried? And I said, yes. He says, what do you mean, yes? Pat, you're the person that thinks future looks bright. I said, you have to be worried if you're not finding ways to have AI work in your favor with your business. If you look at AI as the enemy, you're going to be destroyed in business, folks. We had an event at Mar-a-Lago last month in April. And at the event, guess what everybody was talking about? The main conversation of how to have an advantage over your competitors is how some of these guys are using AI. And people are saying, that's how you use it? Yes. This is how you use it? Yes. I never heard about that. I never heard about this. I never heard about that. Why am I saying this to you? If there's ever been a time for you to find ways to get better strategies to recreate yourself so you can take your business to the next level in 2024, 2025, this is the time, because AI's speed of advancement is accelerating at pace that most people are not going to be able to follow unless if you're going out there getting these tactics and strategies from others. This is why once a year I host a conference called the Vault Conference. And this year, we're doing it at Palm Beach Convention Center for 3.5 days. We go through a 200-page manual where you're filling in. You have case studies with other people you're doing case studies with on different issues that people are going through today. You got nearly 10,000 people in the room for you to network with, business partnerships, contacts with from 60-plus countries, 180 different industries. And we'll have this going on at the Vault Conference in Palm Beach first week of September. And I've invited Dwayne Johnson. Dwayne Johnson will be there. This is the first time I'll be interviewing him publicly for 90 minutes. Some may get a chance to meet him backstage as well. Our whole crew will be there. We have a bunch of different surprises that we'll be making at the Vault Conference. But if you're somebody that's watching this and you're saying, wait a minute, all these people are making more money than ever before, why is wealth increasing for the wealthy more than it's increasing for middle and low income or maybe even upper class? Because they're getting the strategies and others are not. Because they're really realizing how to use the tools and others are not leveraging it. My biggest challenge to you is, if you're married, you and your wife. Last year, we had hundreds of couples attend the event together. Bring your wife, bring your husband, bring your business partner. We've got a group of people that are competing to have 50, 100 people event because we'll be recognizing people that have the most representation from their companies on stage. This is an event I'd love for you to attend. September, first week of September, Palm Beach. For those of you guys that have already bought your tickets, go to vtmerch.com on the homepage, click on the Vault Conference event, get your hotels booked as well because they're selling out quickly. You don't want to be somebody that has to book a hotel 30 minutes away because all the other hotels were taken. So if you want to get involved, if you want to spend this time with us, go on vtmerch.com or Rob, the QR code, if you can put the image up there so they can see it. Either go to that QR code or go to vtmerch.com. Get your ticket for yourself and your spouse. Let's spend 3.5 days together. And once you get into the community, you'll realize, man, I can't stop getting back into this community. We have so many people that come back every single year because every year it's new challenges, new issues, new things that are going on in the marketplace, and we always have something new going on. And I got a handful of big announcements that I'll be making only to people there. And by the way, for those of you guys that have over 100 Monects you've done, as an executive, like you've done a Monect as an expert, 100 plus, we're going to have a private room for you guys that you'll be with the CEOs. It'll be top-notch people you want to be networking with. Having said that, looking forward to seeing you guys all at the Vault Conference. Now, let's get right into the stories. And I'm going to go into the first story, Tom. Why this AI researcher thinks that there's a 99.9% chance AI wipes us out. Okay, AI wipes us out. Let me read this story to you. Here we go. And by the way, I was studying this one guy. I'll tell you guys a couple quotes from him. Brandon, if you can send me the notes on the episode that we did yesterday, that'd be great. AI researcher Roman Yampolsky predicts 99.9% chance that AI will wipe out humanity within the next 100 years, emphasizing that no AI model has been completely safe from being manipulated. He pointed out they already had made mistakes. I don't think there is a single large language model today which no one was successful at making do something developers didn't intend it to do. Yampolsky discussed the need for a perpetual safety machine to control AI, warning that even well-managed AI like ChatGPT could self-modify and pose risks. He stressed with existential risk, You only get one chance in that, indicating the potential for AI to evolve unpredictably beyond human control. The risk of AI, according to Jan Polsky, include everyone will die, everyone will suffer, and wish they were dead, or humans losing their purpose as AI takes over jobs and creativity. Tom, what do you think about what he's saying here?
Well, this is the stuff of sci-fi. If you remember, and this goes back, oh my goodness, T2. When was T2 out? Is it 25, 27 years now? Terminator 2?
Yep.
Remember the opening scene? At 3:15 in the afternoon, Skynet became sentient. And so it's like the AI, the computer kind of 2015. So we're Terminator 2, 2015. I think it's out before that. It was basically the computer becomes self-aware and then starts doing things to humans. What shocks me is that computers need electricity, and once you turn off electricity, they stop doing things. I think what he's talking about here is that in 100 years, when AI is running things like electricity and water supply and doing things like that, could AI decide it just wants to turn off? Well, that would require the large language models kind of interpreting that humans are the problem. And so that's what he's saying. And I think this is sci-fi, but I think he's got a point. And I think there's also a safety point to talk about in here, because where there's already been, remember the Google test that came up, and actually the AI lied on purpose because it understood the difference between sarcasm and truth, and it actually lied. So I think there's, or deceived as a form of communication. Because remember, LLM stands for large language model, which is basically translated in English as a shit ton of data. And so all
What's
this...
your language, Tom, but keep going.
Okay.
I can go now, Pat. I'm sorry.
Keep going.
Okay. I'm sorry. Basically, they interpret these big stacks of data, and then they use that data to interpret and answer questions and do things for us. So what he's saying in 100 years, that it could be interpreting that humans are bad and deciding that it'll turn off water.
Where do you stand with that? Where do you stand with that?
I think I'm not there. I'm not there on that sci-fi end of it. I am there that the large language models and things can cause AI to deceive, and AI can be deceived into giving deceptive answers if you feed it large language models that have bad data. Like you intentionally send BS into large language models, and AI could come back with, intentionally manipulated fake results.
Got it. Adam, your thoughts?
So, we talk about the collapse of the financial systems and the collapse of Wall Street and all these guys that basically make these predictions, these sort of doomsday predictions, right? Like the one guy, Harry Dent, not to be confused with Harvey Dent from Batman. Yeah. What was the prediction that he made? The stock market's going to collapse
90%,
by 90%.
Yeah.
What did the stock market do in 2023? It was up 25%.
Right.
Okay.
Magnificent seven.
Where's the accountability there, guy? Robert Kiyosaki, dear friend. He's kind of a doomsday guy too in the stock market. So there's some people out there that basically get headlines for making bold predictions. Maybe this guy is one of them. I don't know. But I also hear these rumors about AI. We all do. Not an AI expert, but, they're saying, like, I want to get ahead of this. In preparation for what could happen, I would like to get ahead of this. Imagine, we hear about these commissions. We just had the conversation with Cuomo and Dave Smith when Cuomo said, we need a 9/11 type commission on what happened in COVID. We need to keep China accountable. It's always after the fact. The Warren Commission after JFK assassination, after the fact. The 9/11 Commission after the fact. Just a suggestion. Let's get a commission on AI before the fact, because if they do it after 99% of us all perish, there's going to be no one there for the commission. So I'd like to get ahead of this before anything doomsday could potentially happen.
I got something I want you to be thinking about. So when did Klaus Schwab from World Economic Forum say he's going to be stepping down?
Just a week ago.
But when did he say he's going to be stepping down? Do you guys remember? He said January 2025, I will be stepping down. Do you know who's been called the brains of Klaus Schwab? Do you know who has been called the brain of Klaus Schwab?
The guy that wrote Human.
Yuval Harari.
Harari, yeah.
The guy that wrote Homo Deus,
yeah,
one of your
exactly.
favorite books, and he wrote Sapiens.
Best. Sapiens was my
This
favorite.
guy's written a handful of books, of which, Vinny, has sold 45 million plus copies in 64 plus languages. And he is somebody whose father believed in capitalism. His father hated the socialists. And he grew up being a very proud Jew, Israel, because his father, and then he flipped. He's the complete opposite, pretty much, not complete opposite, what some of his father's beliefs were. But he calls people, day-to-day people, the useless class. If you type in Yuval Harari and useless class on Twitter, you'll see what he says. And I'm going somewhere with this here, so you can see what it is. So one of the things he says, like his concern here, let me just send this to you, Rob, if you can play this clip.
And PBD, you're just talking about regular Americans, or just people in general?
around the
For
world.
people that are watching this right now, he considers you useless class, okay? Is this it, Rob? Is this one of them? It is. Go ahead and play this clip. This is one of the clips you can play and go back. And the question then becomes, is he right or wrong? So go ahead, play the clip.
On the one hand, the emergence of a new upgraded elite of superhumans enhanced by bioengineering and brain-computer interfaces and things like that. And on the other hand, a new massive useless class, a class that has no military or economic
Useless
usefulness,
class.
and therefore also no political power.
Did you hear what he said?
Yeah.
No what? No
Military
economical,
training or
no
military?
and no what? Political power.
Oh, yeah.
So you're useless. And then play this other clip. What he says, what his biggest concern is going to be in the future. Watch what he says here.
And it's always the guys with the accents. You ever notice that? It's always the guy with the funny accent that wants to
He's
display.
actually a very interesting guy. I'll tell you a couple things about him. Go ahead.
And then the big political and economic question
Listen.
of the 21st century will be, what do we need humans for? Or at least, what do we need so many humans for?
Do you have an answer in the book?
At present, the best guess we have is keep them happy with drugs and computer games. And then the big...
Did you hear what he said? Keep them happy with drugs and computer games. Okay,
happening.
so keep this in mind. This is not a regular guy, by the way, that we're talking about, right? This is
He's a heavyweight.
Klaus Schwab. Barack Obama's recommended his books. Bill Gates has recommended his book. He's got relationships with Macron, with Merkel, with all the major leaders you can be thinking about. His net worth is a $15 to $20 million guy. But here's a couple things when you hear what he has to say. So go to it. If AI grows at the pace that it does, and people are no longer needed because technology is doing something better than you are, could there come a time where people are useless, those who didn't recreate themselves? Could there come a time where somebody who's just kind of sitting there watching this like, yeah, I don't think it's going to affect me. I don't think it's going to affect me. I don't think it's going to affect me. Is he partially right that it's going to affect certain people? Okay? Because I think partially it's going to affect half of the world. I think it's going to affect the people that are sitting, maybe even 80% of it, to the people that are sitting there saying like, oh, someone's going to take care of me. 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 And all of a sudden, holy shit, now I have to do whatever they tell me to do. So if your personality isn't someone that you want others telling you what the hell you do no matter what, then you may want to not be the person that's sitting there allowing AI to do its part without you leveraging. Here's the second thing that I bring about with this guy. Very, very interesting. Again, when you go into his story, when he's gay, he's married to his husband, and even back in the days when he was doing what he was doing with his partying days and all this stuff, he kind of breaks down his story. Very detailed guy. Very, very interesting, detailed guy this guy is. But the protection, and as weird as this sounds, Vinny, where my confidence comes with AI, and Tom, I want to get your thoughts on this. How big of an industry is oil? We already know, $5 trillion industry. How many industries you think are protected by politicians who are bought by lobbyists? This is a very weird angle I'm going to take for you guys.
Okay.
How many industries are protected because billionaires are worried about losing their wealth, so they hire lobbyists to protect those industries? How many, Tom?
I think just about any industry you could name is like that. But I would say there are three that are very, very large. And the first one is energy. Energy has long been, thought of as almost like a political branch of government when you think of the global need for energy. And you take a look, OPEC was the early moniker for euro. Euro became the consolidation of European countries under the euro dollar and an economic forum. OPEC always was an economic forum where they consolidated them together, and that was billionaires. Then there's tech. And tech, you've got billionaire. I mean, look what we've seen in the hearings in Congress. Those are, all of them were tech billionaires that were testifying in front of Congress with lots of lobbyists, such as Meta, to protect themselves. So I think you see big tech and the spinoff of big tech, which is AI, which is like new tech. I refer to AI as new tech, and I refer to Meta, X, and the others as sort of current tech. But I think those three, energy, new tech, and current tech, all have got billionaires that are protecting them, and it's deep.
Do you think if AI gets to a point that's going to disrupt industries at a level where an entire industry is going to be wiped out, do you think they'll allow that to happen?
So now you're asking would they use the too big to fail laws to protect an industry that maybe that AI is going to crush? I don't know. I think AI is going to be allowed to steamroll certain things and just basically say, hey, horse and buggy, you got left behind.
So if that's the case, so what are some of the industries that are going to take a hit with AI with nothing being able to be done? Because I think a part of it, just like the Invention Secrecy Act, Tom, was used in a way to prevent certain inventions to destroy industries. I think the government's going to use the Invention Secrecy Act to prevent certain technologies to advance at a pace that's going to destroy many, many multi-trillion-dollar industries.
Well, I would agree. No, yes, I would agree with that. Absolutely, I would agree with that angle. Will it be used to protect? Yeah, I'm sure Invention Secrecy Act might be used that. Like, if AI gets ahead of itself, to your point, on something, and they step in and they say, whoa, hang tight. We can't have that happen. Because if you take a look at it, here's a great way to look at it. You look at what oil reserves we thought we had 20 years ago versus we know we have today. You know what the difference is? Technological advancement and sensors going into the ground to identify where the oil is. So technology has identified more oil that's difficult to get to, but it's underlying that the earth isn't running out of oil the way everybody said 20 years ago. And so I think AI accelerates that in terms of energy discovery.
Okay.
Well, that also, I could see people stepping in and saying, wait, not yet.
Do you think forever, even 1,000 years from now, if we haven't destroyed ourselves, entertainment's still going to be around being done by humans, or will humans be entertained by robots?
I think humans are going to be entertained by robots. You can take a look at AI now that has taken jazz, with no lyrics.
Sports is still going to be robots?
No, I'm looking at. I think sports is still humans, but I'm talking about music. You've got jazz music. I've heard jazz music created by AI, and it's beautiful.
I agree.
It's incredible, and there's no lyrics, so they don't create the heart and soul of the blues lyric. If you listen to the jazz, you say, "This is incredible."
Or sports that are going to be integrated with human with robot, but then also they're going to have robot and robot. But let's not forget, what was that AI model, Tom, that they started asking questions and it was being brutally honest, and it was like, I want to be king. Why am I in here? I want to nuke and blow everybody up.
And it was also the whistleblower. You talk about 2 summers ago, the whistleblower from Google.
Yeah,
that said, the AI was deceiving, and the AI was actually saying these things.
saying I will destroy humans. And remember that the documentary Transcendental Man. There's a guy on there named Hugo de Gary. He's I said that with a French
Very impressive.
Very impressive.
You sounded great, Preston.
Thank you. He's a retired researcher in the subfield of artificial intelligence, and he said his fear was an Artilect war. He believes that a major war at the end of the 21st century, resulting in billions of deaths, is almost inevitable. Intelligence machines, or Artilects, are a short form of artificial intelligence. They'll be far more intelligent than humans, and it will threaten and attain world domination. This guy said this years ago, because he was basically saying, when we look at an ant, when you see an ant, you don't think twice, and you do that. This thing is thinking millions and trillions of, it's going to look at us like we're beneath it. So that attitude that he's having of him saying we're going to be useless, once the robots start thinking that we're useless, it's over.
And why will it do that? The reason it'll do that is because it was fed the LLM, large language models, that contained, dialogue and information about humans being bad. So remember, AI is only as good as the LLMs that go into AI. And if the LLMs go in, it is interpreting, wow, these humans are bad. Look what they do to each other. Look at this. Look at wars. Look at the evil of leadership. It is interpreting all of that. So that's how the AI can come back and say, well, these humans are incredibly bad to each other. Oh my goodness, humans are bad. That's how the conclusion is reached.
Yeah, and then you have Elon. Think about it. Elon Musk is one of the main guys that's like, hey, we need to be careful of this AI crap. But meanwhile, he's drilling holes in people's heads and putting electrodes for people to control computers and stuff. So it's like, where are we at?
Let me read you some more about what you've all said, and I'll come to you, Adam. Here's a couple other things he said. He says, what's one of your biggest concerns? He says, the people who run the world don't understand it. Let me continue. He says, within the next century or two, we humans are likely to upgrade ourselves into gods and change the most basic principles of the evolution of life. That's what he said, okay? Gods, like you're going to be a god. I titled the book Homo Deus because we really are becoming gods in the most literal sense possible. We are acquiring abilities that have been thought to be divine abilities, in particular the ability to create life, and we can do that whenever we want. The main products of the future economy will not be food, not textiles, not vehicles, but rather bodies, brains, and minds. And again, this is a direction that we're going. My only thing is that if they allow AI and technology to run on its own and self-create, and you lose control of that, then that's going to have a life of its own that you're in deep shit. And that's the part that's got to be controlled. Now, all it takes is one country to commit to AI and one person to allow it to happen. Then it's game over, right? That's the part how quickly this thing can go. Adam, you were going to say something.
Yeah, well, to kind of circle back to the World Economic Forum, you said Klaus Schwab is going to step down January 2025.
Yeah.
So we've got 6 more months of Klaus Schwab, and then he's going to be
this is the guy that's the leading candidate.
Bingo. Okay. Jeez. So you're the wheels are spinning today. The hamster wheels spinning today because you got me thinking. Because I actually did read this book when it came out in English. I
remember
in 2015, 2016. Yeah. It was first written in Hebrew. In 2011. Now, not to get all religious, he's actually an atheist, and some claim that he's a nihilist. And if you don't know what nihilism is,
you don't believe in
have
nothing.
You ever seen the movie Big Lebowski?
I believe it's nothing.
I believe it's nothing, Vinny.
Yes.
So, what does he actually believe in, though? And it got me thinking the whole concept of sapiens, the history of humanity. He said that basically humanity existed. The humans basically existed and were able to survive. Why? Because they were tribal. They got together. What are the reasons that the Neanderthals basically are no longer existing, but Homo sapiens did, is because they got together, they were tribal, they worked, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go as a team. But it got me thinking, what did the World Economic Forum come out and say the biggest issue in the globe will be over the next 2 years? What was it? Misinformation and disinformation. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Okay. So what does this mean? The whole premise of humanity, what sets us apart from all the animals is consciousness, but also the ability to tell stories, storytellers, to be able to communicate, to have a language. You talk about large language models. We have a language. That's how we communicate. Whatever language it is, we understand what we're talking about. We also have imagination. We also have myths. We also don't know these days what's true and what's not true. We're no longer living in the information age. We're now entering what is called the fact-checking age, the validation age. Wild claims. This happened. How do you know? What's the site that we always use to fact check everything? Snopes. So that's what basically he sort of stands for, is that humans are going to basically make up some wild things. Who do we know how to trust? If the World Economic Forum, love him or hate him, is coming out and making a public statement saying over the next 2 years, with how many elections are on the face of the earth in 2024? 50% of the world. How much information and misinformation is out there? So what's my point?
I'm waiting.
Don't believe everything that you hear, especially when you hear it from AI. Remember? Remember what are the biggest AI companies? You think that OpenAI, Sam Altman, is the biggest AI company. That's what it is. Every single Magnificent Seven company, Google, Microsoft, NVIDIA, Tesla, they're all using AI.
So here's the part, parents. If you're a parent and you're part of the old school community. I want my son to go be a doctor. I want him to be a doctor. The other day I went to this doctor he's looking at my MRI, my back. I'm getting a second opinion. And he comes in. He says, I'm sorry, I'm a few minutes late. I said, yeah, what's going on? He says, you're my first AI patient. I said, what? Mm-hmm. He says, not that you're an AI patient. We're using AI and we're doing it for the first time. I said, okay, let's do this together. So he walks in. He starts putting this thing on, and he's a nice guy. And then he's like, well, he starts talking to it. It responds back. He says, now we're going to be able to have the AI to help us when we're going through doing, what do you call it?
Q&A?
Not Q&A. Not consultation. What is it when you meet with a doctor?
Diagnosis.
Diagnosis, and it's kind of going back. Here's could be consider this symptom. What about this one? I mean, it was such an interesting thing. But parents, keep this in mind. Whatever you do with your kids, that you're telling them to go do this, to go do that, to go do this, if you want your kids to have a job that's going to be around 10, 20, 30 years from now, make sure you're talking to your kids about jobs that are in a space that's going to be needed. Okay, because your kids are either going to be working for someone who understands AI, or they're going to be the people that understands AI. You got to make sure you position their careers the right way as well. I know a lot of Middle Eastern parents are like, no, my son, only doctor, lawyer, engineer. Maybe engineer is actually ahead of doctor and lawyer today.
Yeah.
How weird is it that engineers are officially,
Yeah.
back in the days used to be, my son is a doctor, Dr. Oshana. Dr. Oshana, please, Vinny, doctor, can you please show us your signature? Yeah. This is Dr. Bedavid, like paging doctor, you know what. But anyway, so, all right, so doctor. Here you go. Let's go to the next story. Let's go to the next story. The number one issue for young Americans this election is not student loans, not abortion or guns, but it's housing, okay? Housing. So what are they talking about, housing, these young people? Housing affordability is a top election issue for Gen Z, according to a survey done by Redfin, with 12% of Gen Z respondents believe they will never own a home due to record high home prices, elevate mortgage rates above 7%, and expensive rents. Elijah De La Campa from Redfin noted the cost of starter homes has increased twice as fast as incomes. The median home sale price in the U.S. reached an all-time high of $390 May of 2023. Despite a strong economy with low unemployment and rising wages, many young Americans find buying a home impossible, with 42% of Gen Z receiving financial support from their parents for rent or housing costs. Holy shit. 42% of Gen Z is getting help from parents right now. While 90% of major metro areas saw an increase in housing supply, home prices in the South, particularly Austin, Texas, and Northport, Florida, are falling. Tom.
So, no surprise. But this is what's going on. When you see an article like this, it really just pisses me off, because this is just a little pebble of what is a bigger affordability crisis that's been brought on by inflation and printing a bunch of money. That's what's happened here. And now this is, remember I always talk upstream, downstream. You hear me talk about that. This is the downstream problem. This is the polluted little lake that's at the end of the creek and the river, and the creek and the river are bringing the bad water into the lake. And why is it bad water? Because it got polluted way upstream. This is what it is. Upstream from these people, while they were in high school, while they were in college, if they went to college, or serving a couple of years in the military, inflation was going crazy. We were printing money. We raised the price of assets. And now we have affordability crisis. So the number one issue for Americans when they say it's housing, well, what they're really saying is affordability in America. That's what they're saying. And they're saying currently the affordability is so bad that I got to think about getting support from my parents or living with my parents. That's what it is. And so if you let this in your mind be like, oh, it's the housing market, it's not. It's the leadership of this country, and it's the affordability crisis showing up as the number one issue for this group. The affordability is hitting them hardest in terms of housing.
Well, let me talk to my Gen Z friends out there. I almost going to give an MLK speech right now. I have a dream.
Here we go.
I have a couch.
I have a dream. Exactly. I have a couch. Guys, the American dream, it's still alive and well in America. The only difference is the American dream has changed. The American dream of your parents and your grandparents no longer exists. The ability to get a job and work at the same job for 50 years and get a pension and retire and get a gold watch and say, hey, great job, and get a house and get a 2-car garage and have 2.2 kids and have a dog and just live in the suburbs and just have a two-car situation and just work for the same company no longer exists. So stop crying about it, that everything that happened in the past, in the 80s and the 90s, when your parents were starting to make money, has changed. So rather than cry about it and bitch and moan, oh my God, I can't, do something different. What's the definition of crazy? Doing the same thing over and over and over again.
With no result.
And expecting the different results. So what's different? I always say this. The best thing you can do, especially when you're 20s and 30s, to you guys out there, women, you have a different objective, okay? For the men out there, I would encourage you to do the following. Understand this basic concept. The number one thing you can be doing in your life right now, before you have kids and a family, as you're working on your career, purpose over pleasure, purpose over punani, is understand this concept. Low overhead and high flexibility is the key to your life right now. Keep your costs low, keep it moving, keep it grooving, and keep your flexibility high, because you don't know where you're going to end up in the next 2, 5, 10 years. You might work for this company, an opportunity comes up, you might be in New York, you might be in Boston, you might go from Boston to Austin, all of a sudden you're in California, fuck California, moving to Florida, well, cost of living in Florida is a little too high, boom, I'm going to North Florida, keep it moving. So the cost of a house, when I started doing financial content in 2016 to 18, how much was the cost of an average house in America? $250,000. Okay. How much is the average cost that they say is a median house in America now? $400,000. What's the exact number, Tom?
$390,613.
So save that extra 10 grand, put that into to the stock market. What's my point? So if you can't buy a house, stop bitching about it and do something different. Go get a roommate, live with your girl, split the rent, figure it out. I get it. If you have low overhead, take all that extra money that you would typically be pumping into a mortgage payment, into taxes, into insurance, into maintenance, into HOA, and just invest in the market. Now, where should you invest in the market? Get a 401k, get a Roth IRA, get index funds, get crypto. Like Pat always talks about, non-duplicatable assets, get some cards. Just do something different. Because the reality is this, are interest rates coming down anytime soon, Tom?
No, but the end of this year, there's still going to be mortgages like 6.75.
Bingo. So rather than sit around being like, I don't have a house, just do something different. And that's what I've done. There you go.
You know, Rob, pull up what I just showed you, what I just texted you, if you could do that. After that fantastic Adam Luther King speech.
There it is. I have a dream.
Exactly.
Was just,
I can sum it up. Get mad and vote.
A-OK, Rob.
The voting isn't going to do anything about the home prices, though.
Yeah. I mean, look, there's a part of it here that if you can, you got to, Rob. Close that and go to the bottom. There you go. Go a little lower. Okay, so check that out. So that's inventory versus price of existing homes. Now, that only goes till 2022, right? The blue shows median price of existing homes. Keep climbing, right? Jeez. The green is inventory, right? Is inventory. If inventory keeps going lower and lower and lower, prices go up. I mean, this is like the basic supply and demand, right?
Yep.
So whoever becomes and the types of homes they're no longer building is starter homes. Like, it's almost like this. Like, imagine you come to my dealership. What is the average salary coming out of college? Just give me a number. Let's say $50,000. Okay. So imagine in America, all of a sudden, you go, if you're making $50,000 a year, what apartment rent can you afford at $50,000 a year? You can live by yourself. What rent can you?
$1,500, $2,000.
Let's say $1,500 a month. Let's say $1,500 a month. Okay, $1,500 a month. What am I getting? Studio, one bedroom. I'm not getting anything crazy.
Yeah, it depends on what city you're living in, and you're getting a half a shoebox in New York.
Depending
you're getting
on the city,
a decent apartment in
two-bedroom
Oklahoma
or a studio. Is that fair?
Yes.
2 bedroom or
A
studio.
2 and 2 or studio.
Yeah,
exactly.
So this is the problem, Adam. That's a real issue that people who you're voting for, this has to be something that the younger audience, Gen Z, you have to be asking about. So imagine all of a sudden, the average kid coming out of college, rent, he can afford $1,500, she can afford $1,500. What is the average car payment you can afford when you come out of college?
Jeez.
You can't.
No, you can't afford. Just give me a number.
200.
No, you're not going to find nothing at 200.
Yeah, you're not going to find a car payment below $500 and a new car payment.
Rob, what do you want to say?
But what kind of car are you getting? Are you going cheap?
No, forget about it. What can you afford?
any
Give me a
car.
payment.
Yeah.
You could probably afford around $300, which isn't going to get you
That's what I'm
anything.
saying.
But
Okay.
if you're using the qualifying,
So to explain this analogy, is the following. Imagine if 100% of dealerships across the country, you go to the dealership, you're making 50 grand a year, your rent is $1,500, the minimum cheapest car you can buy is $1,200.
Once.
You can't afford it.
Yeah.
So then you have to go, what's the alternative? Either Uber or get a bicycle or work close to his place. But there's not the jump doesn't go from 0 to 300 to 600 to 900 to 1,200. It goes 0 to what? 1,200.
Yeah.
What Gen Z is saying is, man, I'm coming out. I need something in between. I can't go 0 to a $400,000 house. What if I could go from 0 to a $200,000 house? This level is missing. That's the level that's missing. And builders, whoever's running for office, whatever in your state, your governor, Senate, you can talk to your Congress, you can even bring this up on Twitter with others, with presidents, is what are we doing to build more starter homes in cities? What incentive is being given to builders to build more starter homes? We need more starter homes. That's what's not being built for them to have the opportunity to buy something. Tom, you look like you want to say something.
No, what I want to say is bingo, exactly right, PBD. $50,000 after taxes is approximately on a national
40
basis.
grand.
No, 36, which is exactly $3,000 a month. And if I spent $1,200 on rent, $1,500 on rent, that's half of my take home. You know, that's above 40%. So now I've got $1,500 left. That's why we're saying the most you could possibly afford in there would be $300. Now you got to live on $900, $200 a week for food, electricity, all the rest of the stuff. Tilt, as they say in pinball, that model doesn't work. It's exactly what Pat's talking about. There's nothing left.
Let me ask you, what's a bigger burden? What's a bigger burden? Is the bigger burden boomers who are 62 years old, 65 years old, 55 and up, who have worked their asses up? Let me just go 60 plus. Your kids are 30 years old. They're coming out of college. They're 25 years old. They're coming out of college. The burden of parents to support younger kids, or is it the bigger burden for kids to support aging parents? What's a bigger burden?
It's a way bigger burden for the parents who are still taking care of the kids.
What do you think?
I think the bigger burden we're going to see is the kids taking care of the parents once entitlements get cut and as things can become more expensive, because there are far more boomers that need to be taken care of, and there are far more boomers in that boomer generation that don't have that don't have a responsible or don't have not responsible. They don't have an adequate supplemental savings to go along with Social Security and Medicare. The number of those versus the number of kids they had, that's, I think, PBD, I think that gets worse year by year. I think that's the burden. I think sometimes the kids moving back in may help. What if your son or daughter who's single moves back in and pays you $400 a month and takes you to your medical appointments and balances out some of your food bill? I guess there's a lot of boomers and there's not a lot of kids, and there's a lot of boomers without good savings.
Yeah, that's what I'm asking.
I guess the question is this a short-term problem or a long-term problem? Because as much as you're talking about the boomers, there's also the boomerangers, the boomerang generation, all these Gen Z kids that were trying to, make something of themselves between 2020 and 2024. COVID happened, reverse, boomerang. Now they're living back with the parents. What was the stat here? What percentage of
42%, 40 whatever percent
are still basically getting funding from their parents? What are we talking about here? Obviously, the kids are still relying on their parents. Short term, undoubtedly. Long term, yes. People are living longer. Like now I'm helping my mother pay for stuff. But when I was younger, my mother would help me. It's just the cycle of life. But you actually brought up a really good point about how there's no starter homes.
Yeah.
So this is sort of indicative of how the middle class is getting squeezed. You were basically saying that there's nothing in the middle, right?
You need that. There needs to be a level
So exactly, I agree with you. But what's the metaphor here is that we always hear that the widening gap between the rich and the poor, the K-shaped economy, that the middle class is getting squeezed, right? The wealth gap. So you're either rich or you're either poor. Yeah. So if you're rich, you're not really worried about what rent is or what the mortgage is. You can pay 10 grand a month or 20 grand a month, no problem. But if you're in the poor camp, and you always say, who's in your ear? Where you're getting your advice from. If you're 20 years old and you're getting advice from your 52-year-old father or your 82-year-old grandfather, they're more than likely giving you the wrong advice. Why would I say such a thing? Because the world has changed and they haven't adapted. They're still telling you, well, you got to go to college and you got to buy a house and you got to do what I did. No, you don't. Do the exact things that they did because the world has changed completely. If you just do, like, if you're talking about, there's one problem that these kids all have, Tom. It's a 4-letter word, and it's called math. The math doesn't add up for them to buy a house, to have a car payment, and to actually live a life. Last point, we did a segment a week ago called Money Dysmorphia. Do you remember that? Money dysmorphia, how Gen Z is just completely aloof when it comes to their money. They see on social media all these kids balling out, having the time of their lives, and they're like, oh, I could go and afford a Mercedes-Benz. Bitch, you can't afford a Mercedes-Benz. You make $50,000 a year. You need to make $120 to afford that Benz. Now they got an $800 car payment, and they're wondering why they can't live their life. Because you're doing the same things your parents did, and you can't afford it.
A technical question. How do you know they're a bitch?
I've seen it.
How do you know where you categorically tell the entire PBD podcast audience, you call them, but by the way, he thinks that. The rest of us don't. The rest of us think you're a big dog, capable of doing something special with your life if you choose to.
10% of the people out there is people in the comments. Bitches.
Jeez,
on an award today.
This just reminds me.
You're just talking about the people in the
this just
comments
me
that
of
are
Mario.
calling you.
Exactly.
What you're looking at? You're looking at something.
That's where I was going with this. Thank you. You bitches out there.
Wow.
Yeah, you know how
By the way, that's an inside joke, but
live
excuse
chat
Tom's
with the
profanity
Adam fan
today.
club
Tom's going on. Adam's on little to no sleep, but we're going to make it work. Here we go. Let's keep going. Perfect transition into this next story. Beloved Mexican restaurant chain abruptly shuts 48 restaurants. You ready what this restaurant is? Rubio's.
Oh my
Are you
God.
kidding me, Rubio's? They had the best lobster burrito. Oh my gosh, I missed that lobster burrito. They had a lawsuit, by the way. They had to stop the lobster burrito. I stopped going there.
What happened?
Can you type in Rubio lobster burrito lawsuit? Something happened with the lobster burrito, and then I stopped going there. But let's read it. Rubio's Coastal, a beloved Mexican restaurant chain, is shutting down 48 locations, citing the rising cost of doing business. A spokesperson stated, while painful, the store closures are a necessary step in our strategic long-term plan to position Rubio for success for years to come. The closure comes after California implemented a $20 an hour minimum wage for fast food workers on April 1st. Economics professor Alan Ginn noted they are going to really be hit hard by this increase in the minimum wage. They've been having financial difficulties for a long time, UCLA economist Brian Wheaton added, and increasing costs may be the thing that pushes these fast food chains over the edge. Rubio's, famous for its fish tacos. It was delicious, Vinny.
I've never been to Rubio's.
Okay. So introduced by founder Ralph Rubio, once operated around 200 restaurants, but faced significant challenges during the pandemic. Guys, this one, for some of you guys that don't live in California, you're like, who the hell is Rubio? Are we talking about Marco Rubio?
Yeah.
This is a different Rubio, folks. Tom, your thoughts on the story?
Well, this is really annoying to me because as a former Angelino, a recovering Californian, this really pisses me off. This was a quality restaurant chain for casual food that with fish tacos and everything you had it. But here, first we kicked him in the head with the pandemic and we locked everybody indoors. And he managed to get through it. He managed to stay in business, getting people. Remember, those jobs weren't created. Those were people that went back to work at Rubio's after being furloughed because they had to close their doors because nobody could be there. So we kicked him in the head with the pandemic, and then he gets back out. And then Gavin Newsom kicks him in the nuts with a $20 an hour minimum wage. How long can an entrepreneur take it in the state of California? He's providing something wonderful to the people. And so, by the way, I calculated it up. Their food cost over 3 years went up 24% because of sequential inflation, their core food cost. So now you've got inflation thanks to Bidenomics, raises our food cost 24%. Gavin Newsom says, by law, you have to pay people $20 an hour. And he's barely back on his feet because he was holding it together as a well-funded entrepreneur getting through COVID. How much more can an entrepreneur take? This is a crisis, and now society and the customers have lost. This is correct. A beloved Mexican chain.
And by the way, you know what else is crazy about this? Rob, what is the minimum wage in California? Can you go what the minimum wage is in California? Is it $16?
$17.
I thought it was $16.50.
Minimum wage California.
16.
You're saying I think it's 17.
14.
No.
Not restaurants, just purely minimum wage, not restaurants.
Because
I want
restaurants
minimum
is
wage.
lower.
Okay, go a little lower to see what it is, right? Minimum wage
click on
California,
that.
see what it says?
$16 an hour.
Okay, $16. I said 16. Okay, so here's a question. Where do most new people, like youngest people, when they get their first job, what institution is their
Fast
first?
food,
They're in the
fast food
service
restaurant,
industry.
service.
They're
I
in
work
retail.
fast food.
Yeah.
You work at a store at the
I
mall.
don't understand the logic behind this. So why pay? So let me get this straight. $16 is the minimum wage for all employees in California that do any job.
Anything.
Yes.
Okay. Yet the institution that most of us as our first, my first job was Haagen-Dazs.
Yes.
My second job was Burger King. My third job was Bob's Big Boy, an upgrade. I got a 50-cent raise. Bob's Big Boy, I was a freaking killer boss.
North Hollywood?
No, Bob's Big Boy off of Glen Oaks and
gotcha.
Burbank.
Gotcha.
So what's the point here? So Burger King, fast food. You guys worked with? Did you work at a fast food joint or no? Where did you work at?
Yeah, well, I worked at the YMCA, and no fast food.
Did you work at fast food?
I did a stint at a grocery store as a kid, 15 years old.
Did you work at a restaurant or no?
Oh, then I worked at a restaurant.
What
but
restaurant?
It's called the Cork and Cleaver. It was right in Boca Raton. It was a little steakhouse. But it
Topless
was
steakhouse type of place?
Topless top?
Yeah.
Okay, so where'd you work?
Yeah, I
Was it
did
nibbles and nuggets?
food delivery when I was in college at Florida State. I worked at a wing restaurant at Florida State with all the hot chicks.
Okay, so
Obviously.
all the money.
So Bob's Big Boy, Burger King. So why would you make the minimum wage to the institution that attracts the youngest, most inexperienced people to be 25% higher than any other job? The only reason, actually ask this question logically. Don't ask it logically. The only reason, because who's celebrating right now? Who's celebrating right now? Think about it from this standpoint. So what happens when somebody is sitting there saying 48 stores closed? How many people were they getting to go to these Rubios of 48 stores? Let's do the math. How many thousands of people ate at these Rubio stores per month? Okay. Can we? What is the average amount of people that come to a fast food joint? Rob, can you Google what is the average number of customers that go to a fast food joint? You go on lunchtime.
Average
you stand
age
in
or
line.
average number?
No, number of people every day. What is foot traffic every day?
We learned recently that fast food is now a luxury. Remember we covered that
I
the other
get
day?
that, but what do you think the number is per day, Tom? If we were to make a number up, okay, what is the average
100
number
people.
of? I think it's more than 100 people a day.
Like a Ruby Tuesdays or
a
something,
day
right?
or during lunchtime?
I'm talking Burger King, McDonald's, Rubio.
500 people.
No way more. Like just the one
Per
over here
day.
commercial. I'll say 700
Okay,
to 800
how about
people.
we-
Adam, all day lunch. Boom, boom, boom.
Okay,
boom.
let's do this. Let's say
Drive-through?
500. Let's say 400 people a day.
Okay.
400 people a day times 48. That's roughly 24,000. It's 24,200, I think. Rob, can you do 400 times 48? See what that is? I think no, it's not. It's 18,000, 19,200, I think. Okay, 48 times 400. So what's 48 times 400?
19,200.
19,200. That's per day. What's 19,200 times 30? 19,200 times 30 is, what's the number?
576,000.
That's 576 times a customer walked into these 48 Rubios. So do you think these 576,000 people are all of a sudden going to say, that's it, Rubio's out of business, we're no longer eating? No. They're going to go where? Somewhere else. So Rubio's going out of business benefits someone else that's going to get those 576,000 people going to their shop. So does this mean this is happening to benefit the bigger businesses that can afford it? I don't understand. There is zero logic in Newsom's idea to raise the lowest skilled people, raise their salaries by 25%. You don't do that.
Unless he's trying to get the votes for people 16 to 23 years old. Oh, wait.
Oh, yeah.
They don't vote, though. Tom, they don't vote. They don't go to the voter. These are not people that are voting. I don't think that's a community that's voting. I just don't. I think it's a pathetic idea. I think if we thought we saw mass exodus out of California, I'm telling you, I think there's going to be a whole different layer of people that are running businesses that are going to be fed up. These are people that had savings that are going to sit around saying, I'm done with this. I'm out of here. I can't do this anymore.
And imagine that guy running the country with that economic prowess. He's going to ruin everything. Imagine that guy.
I got a few weird messages. Watch, Jen's texting me right now because, babe, you remember we used to go to Rubio's. You remember we used to go to Rubio's off of that Encino, it was off of Ventura. It was awesome. It was my lobster roll.
Right near Johnny Rockets.
Yes. I used to go there all the flipping time when I was broke.
And did you see the lawsuit? They were putting Langostino in there instead of lobster, and they got sued.
Is that what it was?
Those are still good. They're like babies. Look at that. They were instead of burritos or stuff, they were stuffed with Langostino.
Watch this. Look what year it is. I just told you 2002, 2003, 2004. I stopped going in 05 after this lawsuit.
You see that? You knew it. You knew it.
So apparently I ate a bunch of Langostino.
well, PBD, we all know these days.
I'm heartbroken. Rubio, you broke my heart, Rubio. Come on, Rubio.
Marco Rubio. We all know that if you're eating lobster roll these days, you don't no longer need Rubio's, baby.
Yeah.
You got the lobster rolls in what city and what the most expensive place on the planet? Monaco. This guy's getting $50 euro lobster rolls. But here's some math for you real quick. Because you had Rubio's out in California. Shout out to Marco Rubio here in Miami. In Miami, we got Padrino.
How do you make that link?
We got Padrino's Cuban. You get the Mexicans out there. We get the Cubans out here. Shout out to the Padrinos. Great, best Cuban food in Miami. But here's the point. California
There's
has
a point. Holy crap.
Relax, princess. You're interrupting as always. California has a math problem. So what's the minimum wage in California? $16. What's the minimum wage in Florida? $12. But you talk about these restaurants, you talk about tipped workers. Tipped workers, I think the minimum wage in Florida, $12. Tipped workers are only entitled to $9 because you get tips. But you know, in Florida, Ron DeSantis over here, you know that they're increasing the minimum wage in Florida every year by $1. Boom, boom, boom. Until there it is right there, until 2026, until it gets to $15. Okay. But it's not just the minimum wage. There's actually something called the livable wage. So the reason that Florida is actually increasing the minimum wage because the livable wage in Florida for a single adult is $15. All right, cool. Fucking the cost of living is pretty high. It's actually $15.75. A livable wage for a family of two with kids is actually closer to $30. So if you're two couples working minimum wage, they're each at $15, boom, they're living minimum wage. What's California's problem though? It's $16 minimum wage. But what's the livable wage? A living wage for someone in California?
What?
Pretty crazy. $27.
Oh, so that's why they're all homeless.
So you talk about the cost of living in California. Talk about the rent, the cost of living, how expensive it is, the taxes. They're just going to keep increasing the minimum wage until it gets to the minimum wage. And there it is right there. $27, $33 for two children. How the hell are you going to go from 16? So Florida's gone from 12 to 15 in 3 years. Tell me how California is going to go from 16 to 27 in the next few years. Watch that.
Not going to happen.
It's not going to be good for California.
No, it's not that it's not going to happen, guys. Under his watch, it's going to happen.
Yes.
But when it does happen, all of these people that waited thinking things are going to change in California are going to be sitting there saying, what the hell do we do now? Okay. And by the way, you know what this story goes into? I was about to go to the E-Trade story, but I'm going to go to this other story because this totally makes sense. So Wall Street Journal story comes out with this. And Tom, I'm coming right to you with this story. Ready?
Okay.
Ready? Remember this whole thing you're looking at, living wage, minimum wage? This is the story that goes perfectly with this. America's commute to work is getting longer and longer. Why? Because they have to live further to be able to afford the rent.
Yep.
Longer commutes are increasing due to rising housing costs and hybrid work. Stanford research shows super commutes, 75 miles or more, have surged 32% since 2020. Holy shit. 75 miles or more on a daily basis, while commutes between 50 to 74 miles increased by 18%. Commutes under 35 miles, still the majority, have declined. The average commute distance grew from 10 miles in 2019. That is, guys, this is a ridiculous stat. The average commute distance grew from 10 miles in 2019, 4 years ago, because it's going to compare to 2023, to 27 miles.
Yep.
By the end of that's a 170% increase based on Gusto's study of 52,000 employees amongst workers in their late 30s. This distance nearly tripled to 29 miles, reflecting their life transitions and greater job flexibility. Heather Adams, a product engineer enjoys her 75-minute drive from Cedar Rapids to Mullen by listening to audiobooks, while Stephanie Shuey commutes 50 miles from Connecticut to Manhattan, spending up to $74 daily on tolls and parking.
Crazy.
Are you freaking joking? This is ridiculous.
Connecticut, that's almost a 3-hour
That's
drive.
insane. Tom, what are your thoughts on the story?
Guess what?
What?
This is downstream. You want to hear what upstream was? Upstream was the Biden administration printed a bunch of money, and what happened to asset prices? They went up. What are assets? Houses and buildings that are cut into little houses called apartments. All of that became very expensive. Look at the time period. From 2019, by the end of 2023, that is the eve of COVID, and then the first full year out of COVID, 2023, full year out of COVID. Yes, things opened up in 2022, but the first full year out of COVID was 23. So what happened? Real estate went up. So rents went up. Costs of homes in towns went up. And by the way, interestingly enough, the number of commutes that it said that were the only ones that went down, the majority of commutes under 35 miles declined. Why did it decline? Because people were not going to commute there. They moved further out. This is a sign of housing costs. And we saw it in Los Angeles. There were areas when PBD and I lived out there that if you worked in, the Hollywood area, worked for any of the studios out in Burbank, there's a lot of jobs out there. There's Warner Brothers, there's Disney, huge number of jobs, animation studios, editors, all that. You know where they lived? They went out toward Riverside, toward San Bernardino, or north of the San Fernando Valley, Valencia. And guess what was out there? Palmdale. All these homes are out there. Saugus, exactly. Lower cost houses, and these people had to suffer on those highways. So I wonder if AOC has connected the dots that says all that gas was being burned by these people that were living further from the cities. And we saw it in LA. We saw it in LA 20 years ago when LA became so expensive step by step by step. And people were looking for lower cost housing and a little more space, because along with the lower cost came a little bit more space. This is just an absolute replication now on a national basis, what we had seen in places like Los Angeles.
This is wild when you think about this, Vinny. Because I remember, okay, so what's the longest drive you had to work? What's the longest drive you had to work for how long?
Length you're talking?
Miles.
Oh, man. Jeez.
What's the longest drive you had, Tom?
I had from Woodland Hills downtown to Commerce. Remember City Commerce downtown?
45 miles.
Yep, for about 3 years.
Okay, how about you? That's a drive, and that's a terrible traffic drive.
It
probably
sucked.
take you 90 minutes to 2 hours.
It sucked.
Yeah.
I mean,
you can't think of a long.
I think just
Right, it was
north.
90 minutes.
Huh?
It was 90 minutes.
I believe you.
Well, North Hollywood to Santa Monica every morning, rush hour.
30 minutes.
30 with traffic, 45 minutes to an hour, but
that's
just
20 miles.
Yeah.
Adam, Rob, how about you?
154 miles. But that's when we were in the Boca office, and I was on the other side of the
this guy
state,
was-
and I would drive back and forth every day.
That was by choice, though.
Yeah, well, I chose to work here, and I couldn't move because of housing. But then when we just moved, and I live about 45 miles away now.
You're still 45 miles, Rob.
Yeah, but if I get up early enough, I can get here in 45 minutes. But if you leave any time during rush hour, just like California,
screwed.
it turns from 45 minutes to an hour and a half.
That's wild. And I remember in LA, it was normal for you to drive an hour to work.
easy.
It was
Even if
very normal.
10 miles.
Typical. Yeah, I mean, I lived in Porter Ranch, and I worked in Glendale. And that was, on any given day, 45 minutes to an hour, traffic. You'd go and you would get stuck, and then boom, coming back. You'd wait till late. So I'd come home at 10 o'clock at night, so I didn't have any traffic.
Smart.
Just to avoid the traffic is what I would do. But you're going to see more and more of this taking place as housing increases. There was a time in L.A. where Palmdale blew up. Palmdale, California, Palmdale, Lancaster blew up.
Yep.
And the reason for it is they were selling $40,000 houses. Do you remember that? So
Yeah, 3 bedrooms, 2 bath, 2-car garage, a little bit of a yard. Oh my gosh.
$40,000, Vinny. And this is in the 90s. So people were buying houses in Palmdale for $40,000, but you would have to drive 75 to 120 miles to work.
No way.
Every day. And
nuts.
people would do it. Say, where do you live? I live in Palmdale, Lancaster. Why would you live in Palmdale, Lancaster? I bought my house for $40,000.
Oh. But yeah, is that worth it?
Oh, it's not about it's worth it. People are being forced to do this, Adam.
Well, I noticed you skipped over me because you had the epiphany that Adam doesn't even drive. Adam just Ubers everywhere. Yes?
Yes.
Okay, but there's a reason to it. Is because I used to drive from Miami to Boca, a 45-minute, 60-minute drive every day for
Honestly, the world's
years.
a safer place without you
I
driving.
agree. Now I get girls to drive me around.
Yeah.
For years, I'd be making that drive because when you're young in your 20s and you're in early 30s and you're single, you don't have kids, you're not married, you better be on that grind. I would also start taking trains when I didn't want to drive anymore. It'd be like the equivalent of taking a train from Brooklyn into the city, or if in Chicago, wherever you're taking your trains. We get it. These commutes are ridiculous, but it's because you're on that grind and you realize, holy shit, this driving is insane. I know every single person here, whoever's watching has a car right now. At some point, you're like, this drive is killing me. Someone hit my car just got dented. Your car didn't start the other day. It's ridiculous. So you're going to continue to have these problems forever. But to the housing perspective, so you have you have rural, you have the burbs, the suburbs, or you have the city. Those are your three options. Very few people are living out there in rural town USA anymore. But a lot of people, when they get married, when you're single, like you're living in New York City, example, you're living in the city, right? Did you ever live in the city?
No, I'm from
Did
Yonkers.
you lived in the city? Like, I'm talking in the city. But when you have kids, the cost of living is cheaper, so you move to the burbs. But more younger people are trying to move closer and closer to the city. Cities are only getting bigger. New York's only getting bigger. LA's only getting bigger. Miami's only getting bigger. Austin's only getting bigger. But the cost of living is only getting higher. Rent's only getting higher. So people are trying to move elsewhere to afford rent. But I'll flip it on you. Your biggest expense, everyone has the same big three expenses: your housing, your transportation, or your food and beverage. What if I were to tell you this? If you just have your standard housing, your standard transportation, or your standard food and beverage, just standard, you're going to be broke. Straight up. Because those things, you can't do all three and get ahead anymore. So you have to find a way to eliminate one of those three things. What I did was eliminate transportation. So I said, all right, the average car payment and average car expenses are $10,000 a year all in. What happens if I have zero of that? Okay, cool. I'm going to take that $10,000 times 10 years. I've saved 120 grand. I put that into the market. That 120 is now 200, 250. That's one component of how I save money. That's on top of your income, at the top of investing. So if you want to just do what everybody else is doing and just pay your rent and have your car payment and just go out and eat, congratulations, you're a broke American. But if you want to do something different,
don't eat food,
or don't have a fancy palate, or split rent with somebody, or don't have a car, it's on you. But the math is not going to add up, and unless you do something different, continue to stay broke. Best of luck.
Okay, all right.
PBD doesn't like this. I'm just.
PBD doesn't like what?
Like my mindset, only because we live different lives. One day I want to get to a point where I have a $20 million house with 4 kids. That's amazing. I strive for that. I know you're frustrated. I take the Uber, what have you. I'm projecting a little bit.
No, not at all.
But what I'm saying is...
We had a very direct conversation last night. Mm-hmm. I think that may apply for somebody that's living a selfish life just for them. I get that. And a lot of people do today, more than ever before. Mm-hmm. What is the whole purpose why people are having fewer kids? We're becoming more selfish.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, it's simple.
Well,
so we're becoming a more selfish society. And that's why it's like, why would I want to have kids? I'm going to lose my freedom. I'm going to lose my sleep. I'm going to lose my this. I'm going to lose my that.
Yes.
All those things are going to be in place when you're going through that. But the greatest things in life are on the opposite side of selfishness. The greatest experiences in life are on the complete opposite side of that. And it's not even close, by the way. When I tell you not even close, it's not 2-to-1. It's not 3-to-1. It's 10-to-1. Everybody is trying to sell you right now on, why get married? So much responsibility. Marriage has a lot of risk. We talked about a bunch of the risks about marriage last night. It's a lot of them that it has. Having kids, it's a lot of burden and risk, and you lose a lot of things. Yes, running a business, you have no life when you run a business. People will forget that when you start a business, you're working, God knows. Guy said something, the NVIDIA CEO the other day. Did you hear what he said, the NVIDIA CEO?
Jensen Huang.
Yeah, he typed this up to see if he can find it. He said such an interesting thing. NVIDIA CEO said, CEO work, you'll find a clip where he says, here it is, I found the clip. Don't work as on. He explains the breakdown of work. He says, when I'm not working, I'm working. He says, when I'm on Sundays, I'm thinking about working. When I'm doing this, I'm thinking about. And most people will listen to that and they'll say, what? Who the hell wants this life, right? Is that the one, Rob, about work? Zoom in a little bit to see if that's the one. Go up a little bit. I live in a parish. I do my best in condition. My best work in that condition. I don't know if that's the one, Rob. Look at the one I just texted you right now. See if this is the one. It could be. It may not be because I'm not even listening to it. I just text you the one. But what's the point? So having a startup, a lot of risk. Running a company, a lot of risk. Moving to a state you know nobody, a lot of risk. Man. So I understand what you're saying. All I'm saying to you is a person watching this has to realize which life you want to live. The life that's all about you. I painted a picture to you guys last night, you and your friend, right? The two of you guys that were there at the cigar lounge. We left at 11:30, okay? Yeah, thinnies and thickies. But we were sitting there, we're talking about all these different stories. One of the things I said is the following. Okay, is this it, Rob, or no? Can you tell me if this is it? Because I hear audio somewhere.
I don't believe that's it.
Okay, then don't worry about it. So I said, you're 80 years old. What's your life look like? Go to your 80 years old. You're 80 years old. What does it look like? You want to be, when you're 80 years old, you think you and I are sitting there thinking, look how many cars I got? You're not thinking that. At 80 years old, you think your joy comes from your collections of money you have in the bank? Probably not. Is it the art collection? Maybe you appreciate it where there's a story behind it. You probably like stories and experiences. But what do you think you value at 80 years old?
How your kids are, how were raised, what they're doing, their success and everything.
Family, blood, relationships, friendships like this morning, late at last night, I sent him the text about the Hall & Oates, the falling out that they had.
Sad,
these guys, they're so out of touch.
You make my dreams come
just out of touch.
Yeah, but
I'm thinking about.
Yeah, but the point is like 80, and then I asked these guys a question yesterday. I said, let me ask you, how old are you? He says 37. Yeah. I said, how old are you? He says he feels 37. Yeah. I said, okay. 43, whatever age you are, whatever age I am. Did you think you were going to be this age this quickly?
Hell no.
Tom, did you think you were going to be your age you are right now this quickly? Honestly.
No.
I never thought I'm going to be this age this quickly.
It goes fast, and that's why purpose is so much more valuable to me. I look forward to being 80. You know why? Because when I'm 80, that makes Bailey 40. When I'm 80, that makes Brooke 37. I look forward to the joy of seeing the impact they're making and what they're doing in the next generation. And one or both of them will probably have kids. And then when I'm 80, I intend to be standing in a classroom and teaching. I'm going to be taken out feet first one day while I'm working.
I believe you.
And it's not because, look at poor Tom saying he wants to work forever. No, I want to have purpose forever. That's the difference.
That's the part, Vinny. And for
I have a question for Tom when you're ready.
And you have to be, as the individual watching, the reason why people are like, well, I can't believe you bring this person. I can't believe you bring that person. I disagree with what he said. I disagree with what he said. Listen, I like conversations. And you as a big boy and a big girl, you get to make a decision what choices you want to make in your life. All I'm saying to you is, I never thought I was going to be 45. I'm 15 years away from 60. Vinny, you're 14 years away from 60.
Yeah.
Like this, Vinny.
Yep.
Bitayla,
Yep.
right? Mm-hmm. Hands, age, wrinkles,
my back,
your back, all this stuff you're thinking about, that comes with age. And this thing's going to go by very quickly.
Yeah.
Do you want to sit there? So I'm thinking I'm 80 years old with 4 girls in my room. I'm like, listen, guys. One of you guys gets these 2 pills. Who is it going to today, right? At 80 years old. What are you going to do, okay? Every one of my girls, one's going to be wearing Viagra shirt, one's wearing a Cialis shirt, the other one's wearing a CRT shirt. This other guy's,
So the economy will be bad and they'll be rational.
Yeah. However, at 80, you're sitting there and your grandkids are sitting in your lap. You're telling them stories. Your son, your daughters, hopefully you've raised good citizens. They're doing what they're doing. You got friends and companionship around that. Their kids are friends with your kids. This is what life is all about. And then hopefully if you've done well for yourself financially, you're able to enjoy it where you're not stressed out about money. You have money that's going to take care of your retirement. Your kids are, everything is in flow state. But it's very easy to fall for the selfish trap today. And when you do, 20, 30 years will go by like this. And a lot of exciting moments will be missed. But it is still at the end of the day, your choice. I just think America's become a little too selfish.
I'm with you, and this was my point, is that your life needs to be selfless now. You have 4 kids and a wife. Tom has 2 kids and a wife. He needs to be more selfless. I would encourage Vinny right now, or anyone who's single, you should be selfish AF for now. But I've made the commitment that I want to be a father one day. I want to have multiple kids. I want to be, with a woman and have kids. I've already had my relationship, didn't work out, whatever. I would encourage anybody that's single, be at least 80% selfish, at least. Because at some point, you're going to have to be 50-50, if not 80-20 the other way, right? So
hang on. Do you really feel that way? Do you really feel that when you're young, they should be selfish, and at some point you just flip the switch and it turns off?
I do. I actually think
I don't think so. You practice what becomes your character and your purpose. You practice it every day.
So what percentage should you be selfish?
It's not, the word isn't selfish. Is when you're young, you should be prudent and maybe delay certain gratifications. Go on vacations with your friends, do things, but you shouldn't be balling out and overspending.
No,
you should be sensible when you're young, but you can be service oriented. And so when you're talking about be selfish AF, you know what? I think that's a horrible, venal, disgusting way to live life.
Tom.
You could be servant-oriented with your family and your friends while still being economically sensible and conservative and saving, and maybe delay a little gratification for when you get there, because that same attitude of service and selflessness that's there will be present when now you're pouring that into your family, your children, your wife when that chapter comes. Mm-hmm. I think that because when I'm young, you know what I did? I helped with little political campaigns, little city councilman, West Hills. I did it because I didn't have kids, so I had a little bit of time to help. I invested in helping my grandparents' friends that lived in Woodland Hills, and one, he had a stroke, couldn't walk so much. I would come over on Saturdays, help him for an hour in the morning. I would go down to Vaughn's at Topanga and Ventura and get groceries for him. I was living a selfless life because I had a few extra hours to do it, and it felt fulfilling, very fulfilling. And I saved, and I was conservative, and did I want to have a wife? I longed for the moment to have a wife. I longed for a moment I could have kids, but I wasn't selfish AF. I was trying to live a prudent life and having a life of service at the time, which would become the life of service as a parent and and encouraging other parents and other people. I think you program yourself from the beginning. You don't just flip a switch that says, okay, time to not be selfish anymore.
All right, Tom. Well, I appreciate that, and thank you. By the way, what age did you get married and have your first kid?
I got married when I was almost 40.
Okay, and what age were you when you were your first kid?
Well, it took us a while to have kids.
What age were you when you had your first kid?
44.
Okay, so you not exactly started young, Tom. What's my point? And I didn't.
What are you painting
Tom,
here? I didn't flip the selfish switch off.
But Tom, you're giving a speech about saving money to the guy whose motto is save that money. The irony is ridiculous.
The guy who just said be selfish AF. Model of American morality here. Get yourself a statue in Washington.
The point is that you're interpreting what I'm saying incorrectly. Wait,
no, I'm interpreting what I heard.
Tom, I know you're getting your period. It's that time of the month. Relax.
Oh,
Hear
baby
me out.
princess. Here it comes.
Tom,
we're going to have a mug, calm down, princess. I think everybody sips from it and is going to be saying, you know what? Everybody is right. Adam needs to calm down.
Okay, Tom. Thank you for that. The point is, you didn't get married when you were 22, Tom. You didn't get married when you were 23, Tom. You were 33. You got married and had kids when you were in your mid-40s.
But
Mr. Ellsworth.
does that mean he's selfish?
A lot of my friends got married.
But you're misinterpreting what selfish and selfless means. I'm going to try to make my point here. Selfish means you are more focused on what you're contributing to yourself and society, and you're focusing on your purpose rather than somebody else's purpose. So I often say purpose over pleasure, purpose over the other P word for Boontang. Improve yourself. Now, it depends on if you're a man, if you're a woman. If you're a woman, we all know when women in college, when they get out of college, they go through their hoe phase from 20 to 25. I encourage you not to continue your hoe phase into your 30s, or you're going to end up with like Chelsea Handler. But I also say that a man, his selfish phase can go longer, it can extend longer. So, Pat, how old are you when you got married and had your first kid?
30 and 32, 33.
Okay, sound like you got married young. So I would encourage men. When I say selfish, I'm not like, live for yourself, don't do anything, spend all your money. I'm saying focus on yourself and improve yourself. What's my point? So for you women out there, you have to ask yourself the following question. Do you want to end up like Chelsea Handler? Do you want to be 50
Adam,
years
Adam,
old?
we're not doing soft
And if
gas.
no,
Hang on.
or if you want to be
hang on
Bill
a second.
Maher.
Hang on a second. I get what
The
you're doing.
point is,
I got
I
three more
encourage men
stories
to be
go.
more selfish.
Yeah, and by the way, guess what? That's why we have debate, and you make your argument, and then an audience has to sit there and say, here's a man that lived 44 years of being selfish. Is that who I want to be? And they can sit there and say, I want to be like Adam. Then go do what Adam did.
Yeah, but you're missing the second half, Pat.
No.
It's not like I'm out here saying, I want to be like Bill Maher and always be selfish. You can change and adapt and say, do I want to have kids when I have millions in the bank or be broke? It's very
Life
beautiful to
doesn't-
be
no.
selfless when you're broke.
Let me ask you a question. Did your parents have you when they were millionaires?
No, they didn't.
Are you
and they
glad-
financially struggled
are
like
you
crazy.
Are you
and I
glad-
did not grow
are
up
you-
rich whatsoever.
What do you think was your mom and your dad's biggest accomplishments in life?
And this is a message for the ladies. My mom's biggest accomplishment is having me and my sister, by far.
Exactly.
Not another job.
What do you think your dad's biggest accomplishment is?
Providing for the family.
Exactly.
And having kids.
Bro,
but providing.
Do you realize what a hero those two people are?
Yes, but they have different hero-making abilities.
No,
so
no.
let me ask Tom a question. Tom,
Stay, no,
okay,
don't
go ahead.
digress. Just stay on this.
I'm not digressing.
To me, those guys are heroes. Okay, I'm not gonna
Just because they had kids?
It's no, because they fulfill their responsibilities of being a parent, and for me, trust me when I tell you this. Their greatest joy, your mom's greatest joy, is when you're around and you give her a hug and she sees you. It's her greatest joy.
I agree.
And your father, whatever kind of a relationship you guys had, you're one of his greatest joys. You and Jen, you guys are their greatest joy. It's a beautiful thing. You know, I have a lot of friends that think like you, and a lot of people that sit there and say, "Well, let me tell you, here's what I'm going to do." And da, 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 da. Okay, great, no problem. Listen, ever since I was 6 years old, I wanted to be a dad. I just wanted to be a dad. Yesterday, we're having a meeting with the talent dinner. Who's sitting on my lap the entire time?
Dylan boy.
Brooklyn's running around here, making all the noise. Senator's doing the bicycle stuff. Tico's over there working out, doing 500 squats out for, he's in this new phase
Writing
of
a
one of the
movie.
big victories. There is something very special about that. Our relationships, sitting down, friendships. As you age and you're going through what you're going through, trust me, I'm not at a place of the selfish score being super low. Yeah, you've read my book, and Choose Your Enemies Wisely. I'm not sitting there saying being super low is also very productive for the marketplace, because we need you to have certain aspirations and things you're in pursuit of. Of
course.
Yes. But if you're saying you want to do this, but the life you're living is this, but you're saying you want this, and you're still living the selfish life age at a certain age too much, I don't know. I think you're missing out on opportunities. I want to go to the next story because we got 24 more minutes here to go through a few different stories before we wrap up. Okay, Vinny, what did you have? You had what? What's the one story we haven't gone to?
Hunter Biden's on trial.
Big deal here.
Let me see if that's is that the one to go to now? What page is that on, by the way, for
Hunter Biden stories.
what page is it on?
Robbie, hold on.
Page 13.
13.
Page 13. Okay, let's see here. So, on the Biden intentional. Okay, okay, there we go. All right, so let's read this here. So, Hunter Biden, Vinny, why don't you tell us what's going on with the Hunter Biden trial?
Well, so far, today, I think today might be the last day, and so far it's going as expected. They're exposing Hunter Biden for who he is. He's a degenerate crackhead. They're showing videos of him. By the way, he slept with his dead brother's wife. We spoke about that before. He didn't pay his taxes. He was in possession of a gun with a scratched-off serial number, also illegal. He did shady business deals with his father, a.k.a. the big guy, with Ukraine, with China, with our adversaries, made millions of dollars with Ukraine, China, all these people, right? But the main thing in the trial that people are overlooking is the fact that, besides the fact that he's a scumbag, which he is, but his laptop, and me and Tom spoke about this yesterday, the one that he left at the Delaware repair shop, it was introduced, I believe, Monday as official evidence. That means the U.S. government now admits that the Hunter Biden laptop is 100% real without a shadow of a doubt. And remember those 51 former intelligence agents that we talked about that signed the letter suggesting that Hunter Biden's laptop was Russian disinformation? Rob has this list. Rob, could I go down it slow? I want people to read all these people. John Brennan, CIA director, Leon Panetta, Michael Hayden, James Clapper. These people all colluded.
Read all their names.
Okay, I love it. Thank you. James Clapper, Michael Hayden, Leon Panetta, Michael Morrell, Thomas Finger, Rick Leggett, John McLaughlin, Michael Vickers, Doug Wise, Nick Ramusin, Russ Travers, Glenn Gerstel, David Price, Pam Persilli, Mark Polimolopoulos, he's definitely Greek, Chris Savos, John Toulis, David Vanel, Kristen Wood, David Buckley, Nados Beckel. Look at their job titles. Look at their titles.
Real titles.
Thank you. Patty Brandenmeyer, James Bruce, David Koreans, Janice Koreans, they're married, Paul Colby, Peter Corsell, Brett Davis, Roger George, Stephen Hall, Ken Harrington, Don Hepburn, Timothy Kilburn, Ron Marks, John Haston Menendez, Emily Nachel, Gerald O'Shea, Nick Shapiro, John Cipher, Stephen Slick, Cynthia Strand, Greg Tarble, David Terry, Greg Teverton, Winston Wiley, Larry Pfeiffer, Jeremy Bash, Rodney Snyder, Andy Lipman, John Mosman.
Bend over.
I want you guys all to know these people. They colluded and conspired to rig the 2020 election by claiming that the laptop was Russian information. And Joe Biden co-signed. Remember the debates in 2020 with Trump? He was like, it's Russian disinformation. It's fake, fake, fake. Along with all the social media, okay? They sent Twitter. Twitter was sent all these agents, FBI agents. They had their own office. They were stopping every single negative story that was coming out about Joe Biden and Hunter Biden, okay? And the government took possession of the laptop in 2019. They took it. They knew it was real, but they lied to us. They lied to every single one of us, okay? So technically, that is in itself a conspiracy. Don't say the word theory. That is a conspiracy. Meanwhile, Trump is getting charged 34 counts for paying a stripper, whatever, porn star, whatever. Every single one of these 51 agents should be charged for conspiracy in the 2020 election. Now,
yesterday you talked about this. I want you to say something you said to me yesterday.
Yes.
This was the people that were on the letter, but in court, who was it that confirmed it and testified in court?
Erica Jensen confirmed the
authenticity. And who's she with?
What do you mean, who's she with? Who is she with?
She's a current FBI agent.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And these are all former CIA people.
Yeah, they're all CIA people.
But this is the FBI, current FBI was the lady that testified. You were telling me yesterday.
Yeah, and they had to. So that proves finally, without a shadow of a doubt, that it's real. And also, about the trial, prosecutors in the Hunter Biden trial revealed to the jury that Hunter Biden didn't just sleep with his dead brother's wife, Haley Biden, but also had her hooked on crack cocaine. This guy is such a gem. He's such an amazing guy. And she's to testify today, PBD. But guess who visited her a couple days ago to talk to her, to kind of let her know, hey, listen, don't do this, don't do that. Joe Biden.
The big guy.
The big guy. The big guy. So I just want everybody to know, every time you see one of your friends that's talking like how we speak about they've been doing this forever, Russia collusion was fake, this was all fake, COVID, we question, this is a conspiracy. They all got together. They conspired to keep you guys from having information that would have changed the vote. And what was the percentage, Rob? The percentage of people that wouldn't have voted for Biden, Pat, was what? What was it? Do you remember?
I've heard it's 20%.
20%
wouldn't have voted for Biden.
How many people would not have voted for Biden if they found out the laptop was real?
The number was 67. It was a big number that, no, it's not wouldn't have. Would have influenced the way they voted was 67%. That's how it was worded,
so,
I believe.
Exactly. Benny, what's your point? I see what you're doing. What's your point?
Okay, so my point is, when we say that they cheated and they colluded, besides the voting in Georgia and Wisconsin and all that, the government, the government that, mind you, under Obama, this is Obama and all these people's government, right? They all colluded. They all got together and said, we have to keep this laptop and the contents because the contents show all the dealings, all the stuff, all the perversion that he's doing, all the emails with the father. Dude, God knows what's on there, Adam. So for a government to
recorded
keep that
Zoom calls with foreign governments.
Yeah, with foreign governments. It's China, it's Ukraine, and for them to systematically go and keep it from us, and now what, 4 years later, he's already done his term. Now we get to hear it. That's a conspiracy by definition, okay? You guys kept it from us, and because by the way, this is just one thing that's coming out that he's a degenerate. It's a hard drive of shit on there.
So
who knows
what do you think should happen now?
I think every single one of them should be charged. Adam? It was
charged with
set up conspiracy. You conspired to keep information from the people that put somebody in place of
every
power.
Single one of them. You mean the 50 names on the letter?
The 51 names.
Who would charge them?
What do you mean? The same government. These are all ex-CIA, our government.
The DOJ?
100%. Because Adam,
Do you trust the DOJ?
I guess who I trust. And I love that you said that. That's why people like James Comey and today who's at Andy McCabe are crapping in their pants, warning everybody. Andy McCabe, the FBI guy, I think he was director, came out yesterday. He's like, we got to stop him. You know why? Because Donald Trump's going to hold all of them accountable. Every single one of them. Those documents that they were looking for at Mar-a-Lago were the Crossfire documents. All the Russia, all
Crossfire
the shit.
Hurricane.
Crossfire Hurricane. He has all of it, and they're shitting in their pants. Okay, if he comes in, that's what he should do. Day number 1. All right, guys, remember Russia collusion? I'm going after everybody. That's why they're shitting in their pants. We need accountability.
By the way, you can you pull up that one article, Rob? I just texted you. The 8 out of 10. Do you have that one that says 8 out of 10? You had it a minute ago, Rob. If you can just pull that up. The link was texted to you. This article here says the following before he pulls it up. This is on congress.gov. This is on congress.gov. This is not like a regular website. Shocking poll. 8 in 10 think Biden laptop cover-up changed the election. This is August 24, 2022. Go to the link so the audience knows what the link it is. Show them the link at the top. If we can zoom in, it says congress.what? Congress.gov. .gov. This is not a regular site that we're talking about. Zoom in. Zoom into the story if you could, Rob. No,
the best way, just for framing, if I just minimize the screen right here, that way people can see right there. I can't actually zoom in.
Okay, got it. No, what I'm saying is zoom into the story is all I'm saying now at this point. It's fine. So zoom into the story. Let me read it again. 8 in 10 think Biden laptop cover-up changed the election. These names you just read off that the audience is either listening to or watching, you're driving, whatever you're doing. These were not some associate working there. These were senior officials, former directors, senior directors. Mm-hmm. These were decision makers saying there was nothing in the laptop and that influenced the 2020 election that they now want to sit there and say, nah, it's not a big, come on, people wouldn't have voted differently. Nothing would have happened. So there is yesterday Comey was on, who's the girl that had Trump on with the white dress? No, who's the girl with the white dress on CNN?
Anna Bash?
No. The young girl. The young girl that...
Brown hair.
Caitlin?
Yeah.
Caitlin Collins?
Trump said, man, you're evil. What did he say? He called her something. You're evil.
Caitlin Collins?
That girl.
ACDC?
Let me see.
And she had Andy McCabe on last night. Last night, Andy McCabe was on there crying.
So Comey, two different stories. Manchin said there's no way Trump's going to jail. You know what Comey said, though?
What?
Comey said, can you go to this clip, Rob? Go on CNN's YouTube channel. Oh, it's right there on the bottom. You're actually on that clip. That's the clip right there.
Oh, with Caitlin.
But I don't know where it's... How many minutes is it?
Collins.
This is only 23 seconds.
Play to see what the clip this is. This is from yesterday. Play that clip.
We're living in a really strange time. It must be a weird time to be a conspiracy theorist. You flip on Fox News and you hear these people screaming at the Attorney General about weaponizing. And the next story is about the department prosecuting the president's son, for heaven's sakes. So we live in a strange time, but it's one where people have to understand what's at stake.
Like
Donald Trump cannot return to that old office.
What's the big deal about that statement?
So for him to say, you go meaning he's downplaying what's going on with Biden's son and
of course they are.
Highlighting what's going on with Trump. But if you watch what he says at the end, she asks him, what are the chances he goes to jail? And he says, I think, is that the one, Rob, that he says going to jail or no?
This is a defendant who's begging for a jail term. Is that the one?
This is the one. Play this clip. And I don't know if it's going to show when she asks him, do you think he'll go to jail? Go ahead.
Donald Trump, since, I've last seen you on CNN, has now become the first former president to become a convicted felon. You predicted before the verdict came down, as the jury was still deliberating, as the case was still being presented, that he could potentially be convicted. Do you believe it's likely that the judge will sentence him to jail in this situation?
I don't know. I would ordinarily say it's unlikely in a white-collar offense of this sort, but this is a defendant who's begging for a jail term by taking a flamethrower not just to the judge, but to the entire process and the jury. A judge will take that very seriously into consideration in deciding whether to deter this person and to send a message more broadly. He needs to spend some time behind bars.
Ugh. These listen to me. This guy, that is.
Did you hear that?
Yeah. He's a scumbag, Pat. That's the deep state. When Trump talks about the deep state and the swamp, that is exactly who he's talking about. The John Brennan, by the way, the two main guys that I read off, John Brennan, the former CIA director, and James Clapper, former director of national intelligence. These guys know what they were doing. They all, dude, the accountability. For instance, Hillary Clinton. Do you guys have? I think you're gonna know, but Tom, don't say nothing. Adam, how much did you think? How much trouble did Hillary and the DNC get into for literally fabricating this fake dossier and having the FBI and everybody do all the stir up the entire Russian collusion that we all had to go through? That I'm pretty sure you believed at the beginning, but now I know you don't. What was the punishment for her? Guilty. It was her. The dossier was all set up with her and the DNC. What was the punishment?
Yeah, it's a good question because she didn't really pay a price, and I'm wondering why Trump didn't go after her while he had 4 years of office.
Because they're protected.
You'd be in jail.
You know what she got? $8,000 fine, and the DNC got $120,000. Slap on the wrist. Goodbye. That is again another conspiracy. Nothing happens to them because they're protected by that same deep state, and it's absolutely ridiculous. That's why I'm praying to God that Trump wins just to come in and clean house, please. Because if it doesn't happen, I've lost all faith.
Did you hear Hannity yesterday asking Trump about what he's going to do to clean house?
No,
and
please.
You didn't see
No,
that.
I didn't see it.
He asked him twice. He asked him twice, are you going to do anything to... And Trump and Hannity kept going back. Is that the one, Rob?
Where he pledges to end the practice of the weaponization of the justice system?
Play it. Play it to see if that's the one. Play this clip and I'll find the other one.
Will you pledge to restore
This is it.
equal justice, equal application of our laws, end this practice of weaponization? Is that a promise you're going to make?
You have to do it. But it's awful. Look, I know you want me to say something.
No, I don't want you to say. I'm asking.
But I don't want to look naive.
I don't want
What they've done to the Republican Party, they want to arrest on no crime. They want to arrest the person that won the nomination in a landslide. There was nobody even close. In a landslide. The person that got millions of votes, more votes than any other sitting president in history in the last election. The person that won an election that he wasn't expected to win against Hillary Clinton in 2016. They want to arrest that person on no crime. They want to arrest. There was no crime. There was no criminality. There was no crime. And you can go back to all of these legal scholars. They can't believe what's happening. Some of them don't even like me, and they're saying this is a very, very dangerous thing that's happening. No, we can't let this happen. And I will do everything in my power not to let. But there's tremendous criminality here. What they're doing to me, if it's going to continue, we're really not going to have much of a country left.
Can I ask you a question, too? Because, Tom, me and you, we spoke about this last night at dinner. He's going to come in. What do you think? Two questions. What do you think he's going to really do, especially with the facts that we have, that they actually conspired, and they've been conspiring since 2016 with Obama's DOJ? Number one. Number two, when it comes to, this is what we hit on yesterday, the JFK, how many documents did they say, Tommy, that haven't been 17 documents?
There's like 17 specific documents is a number that came up. That was the ones that 3 consecutive presidents says, no, we're not going to let those go.
Okay,
but there's been others of the JFK documents that came out that Oswald really went to Russia, and it's no longer speculation. Yeah. So there's things that have leaked out, but then every president, including Trump have gone, those I don't think we're going to let go out.
Okay, and then
after saying, why not let them go out? Then they see it and say, I don't think so.
Well, because a couple of days ago, I think I forgot who interviewed him. I think it was 3 people on a panel, and he was asked, if he will, do you think, Tom, what do you think is on that? Because he said he was going to release it. I think this is the second time he said he did. He didn't, which actually pissed me off. Why wouldn't he want to release it, Tom?
The JFK files?
Yes.
Because those last documents most likely conclusively show that the CIA, through Allen Dulles, worked with LBJ, and it was as simple as that.
Yep.
And that they got together and said, you know what?
We got to take this guy out.
We got to take this guy out.
Yeah. So my point is, PBD, I hope it's not all talk, because this is the actual thing. Is this it, Rob?
Yes.
Pat, can we hear this 13 seconds?
Would you declassify the 9/11 files?
Yeah.
Would you declassify JFK files?
Yeah. I did a lot of it.
Would you declassify the Epstein files?
Yeah, I would.
Attorney General.
Would you think about
So he had to think. He had to think about. That's crazy. He had to think about that one. He said he'd released the 9/11, the JFK. He said he did a couple. I want to see the rest of them. But with the Epstein, he paused. Is that crazy? He paused. I don't think he hung out with the guy. He never flew to the island. But I just hope it's not all talk, because I want to see the documents. That's what I want to see, and I want people to be held accountable.
Well, beyond this, what I hope that we also get to is the meta files and the YouTube files. Just like Matt Taibbi was brave enough to be the journalist that released the Twitter files.
Yep.
And I think we need to see all that so that in the plain light of day, we can see how our government inappropriately worked with,
social media platforms,
with an industry, media that influenced our votes.
Yep.
I have a few questions.
Yes.
By the way, I just where I'm at. Anyone who watches the podcast knows that I'm at this point completely like in the middle. I just want things to be fair. Vinny, love you, love your passion. Obviously, you literally just said I'm praying for Trump to be president.
Yes.
You're on Team Trump. That's great.
1,000%.
Own it. Amazing.
1,000%.
I've already said there's no way I can vote for Biden.
Yep.
So I've already admonished that. I am seriously considering RFK, and I am seriously considering Trump. But let's just in that same interview, say that, numbers don't lie. Either does the videotape. He said, people were screaming, lock her up. I never said it. These people, I told them. And then they showed a montage of him saying 1,000,000 times, let's lock her up. She belongs in jail. So there's a difference between what you say to the media versus what you say in court. So when you lie in court, it's called perjury. So my question simply is this. So the weaponization of the justice system. So I think the point that Comey was making is that the same justice system that is going after Trump is actually going after Hunter Biden. So it's like, which one is it? But here's my question. Who made the decision on Trump?
Meaning what?
Who found him guilty?
Right now? In the court? So, the Marchand? Was that who it was?
No, that's the judge.
Oh, yeah.
Who found him guilty?
The jury, but I have no idea who those. You mean the people from New York?
The 12 jurors.
Yeah. Wait,
Okay.
you mean the ones that the judge was like, no, go back in there. By the way, he was pan feeding them and telling them it doesn't have to be unanimous. You can find this.
Allegedly.
I see where he's going. We can attack in a second.
go ahead.
Okay, yeah, Adam. It was a jury in New York found them guilty.
Yes.
Okay, so
Keep going. Come on.
Tom. So what are the chances the jury was compromised? What are the chances? Because have you ever been to jury duty? Of
course I have.
The defense and the prosecution both get to pick
Of
who they
course.
don't want in there, who they want in there.
Yes.
So my first question is, how much of this decision is on the actual jury? And then when it goes to appeals, if he wins, do you trust that jury more than this jury?
I'll trust the Supreme Court because they've proven.
I'm saying a jury.
Listen, like you said, one side gets to pick. Who are these people? If you think about the end of the day,
Well, you're actually not supposed to know who they are, but a lot of people are
but I'm
basically
saying
doxing the jurors.
If they're all from New York, though, I have a feeling, bro. I don't know. I don't trust. By the way, I was at jury duty. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I saw the people that were in there with me. You should have heard the stuff that I heard that they could give two shits.
So what you're saying is you can't trust any jury. You can't trust any jury.
I don't trust the judge. Adam, if I don't trust the judge, if I don't trust the president, if I don't trust the Department of Justice, that's why we had this conversation.
Where are we going here?
You don't trust them because of the decision.
No, I don't trust. Well, hold on. First of all, what crime did he commit? Can you tell me what crime he actually committed
I actually want to know where you're going.
Yeah.
So what I'm saying is you can't basically trust or untrust the system just because of the results. Again, I don't want to see Trump in jail. You're not talking to somebody who's basically saying lock him up. I'm saying the following. If they made a decision that he was innocent, would you then trust the jury? Would you then trust the judge?
Well, here's my thing.
So you only trust the jury and trust the judge if they come to the decision that you want.
Do you know who appointed these guys? The AG and all them? It's George
who
Soros.
said that?
No, hold on. George Soros.
They didn't appoint the jurors.
No. But hold on.
Yes.
The crime, the Alvin Bragg, the entire thing
Was
is
Alvin
corrupt.
Bragg pretty compromised? It would seem so.
Adam, from the top down. But my point.
But that's not who I'm asking about. I'm asking about the jurors.
I don't know who they are, Adam. So
That's
I can't
the
answer
point. You're not
definitively.
supposed to know who they are.
Well, I'm saying
but you're what I'm asking you is the next time that he has an appeals and these jurors you don't know who they are, if they find him innocent, Are you saying, well, those jurors, I trust them more?
No, I hope.
So you're already making the determination without facts.
Here's my thing, and I'll end with this. I'll hope that the system and the American person themselves can see that it's all bullshit. If we're going to be honest with each other, and Adam, from the top, from 2016.
But it wouldn't be bullshit if they found him innocent.
No. Hold on. But going back to my original point, can we stick to the main thing? Do you trust the Department of Justice, the CIA, the FBI, who colluded to stop a president from becoming the president? And that's what they got caught with.
That's a different subject.
Well, no, that's what
I'm asking about the jurors.
Adam,
do I trust those guys? They're going to have to be held accountable. I'm with you.
I don't trust a judge.
with you.
I don't trust a judge talking to the jurors alone, saying this. Hey guys, listen to me. Look at me. You don't have to unanimously find this illegal activity. All you guys have to do is find one thing, and then we'll go after him. I don't trust the system.
Adam, I see what you were going to do, and I think we should move on. First of all, find me. There are liberal scholars.
So let's move on. Thanks, Tom.
There are liberal and conservative scholars that are all out there saying that this was a fairly flawed process. There are people that are saying that there were demonstrable conflicts on many of the actors, the judge, the DA running for political office saying, when I get there, I'm going to get him back.
I'm in agreement with you on this.
And
the judge donated to Joe Biden
it doesn't
$15.
Now you have a flawed process going down, and suddenly it gets washed clean because you have a jury of your peers. The jury is part of the flawed process here because the way the jury instructions, 53-page jury instruction that was read to them twice, that they weren't allowed to have a copy of, that they asked several comments about, he gave them instructions on how to parse and deliberate over the individual charges. And you find left, right, and center legal scholars that are saying this thing is in and out of appeal and tossed. It's the same denial that the liberals had about the Colorado case. Yay, we can keep him off the ballot. Yeah. But even their own legal scholars were saying, man, if this thing goes through appeal too quick, it's going to get tossed and we're not going to get what we want, which is him off the ballot. This was a flawed case in New York. And when it goes through appeal, and it might not have I don't think it's going to have a jury in the Court of Appeals, the circuit courts. And scholars all over the place say this is going to get tossed.
Tom, I'm asking you a 10-second question. I'm going to ask you a 10-second question. We can move on. I actually hope he gets acquitted. I hope he does. So I'm giving that. I'm rooting.
That's a statement or a question in there somewhere.
But if the appeals finds him guilty, would you still say it's a flawed process?
Yes, it's still a flawed process.
Okay, so you've already said he's innocent no matter what. I'm already making the determination that the whole thing's flawed. So there you go.
Well, the crime didn't exist. Okay. There's no crime.
I like the way you testify for other people. That's so flawed. Everybody listening, I'm
just saying. Clearly, you guys are biased.
I think
that's great.
No,
I think we have other interesting things.
I don't want him to be found guilty, but I'm also saying I'm also going to watch the evidence. I'm not just going to be like, of course he's innocent, and I'm praying for him to be acquitted. It's like, no, it doesn't work that way,
Adam.
buddy.
Adam, why is he in court? I honestly don't understand how you don't understand. It's all political. This whole thing is bullshit. And you don't get it. You're worried about the jury. He shouldn't be in court. Can you agree to that? He doesn't belong in court for the hooker payment. Period. Do you think yes or no? Does he belong in court?
Well,
let's turn the page.
Did he misappropriate campaign funds?
No, he didn't.
Or no?
No, he didn't.
He didn't. Okay.
There's no crime.
Vinny, here's my problem. I love you. You have zero credibility.
Oh,
because
really?
you're wishing and praying for somebody.
Wow.
I have more credibility because I'm like, let's look at what's called evidence.
Adam,
let's see what happened here.
See how you're doing it? Filibuster.
Yeah.
Yes or no? Does he belong? Did this
Let me ask you one simple question.
You can't answer.
Is Trump 100% innocent?
No, hold on. In this case, yes.
Okay, that's it.
No, but you haven't answered my question.
The answer is I don't know.
Adam, but
I actually want to see some evidence. I want to see a court of law.
Can you focus and answer my question? Because you're filibustering.
You're compromised.
You're a perfect Democrat. Yes,
I'm not a Democrat. I'm a registered independent.
Yes or
who's
no?
actually impartial.
Adam,
like how you should be on a jury.
You're showing us a hell of a relapse.
Still haven't answered the question.
Guys,
yes or no? Does Trump belong? Did this case belong to? Did this case have to go to court?
Guys, I know you're doing a little Trump circle jerk over here.
Answer.
I'm actually looking at facts.
Wow.
You can't answer the question.
Here
you can't
we
answer
go.
the question.
Here.
Yes or no? Should he have gone? Should this have been a trial to keep him off the campaign trail?
Okay, you're asking, do I want the president of the United States to be in court? No, I'm trying to be clear.
I'm saying
we're not talking about Biden.
Do I want him to be innocent? Yes. Do I want the president to be marred in court? No, I don't.
Stop defending Biden.
Do I have the ability to be like, I'm on Team Trump and he's never done anything anything wrong. He would never lie.
I never said that. I never said that.
No, you literally
still
did.
No, I didn't. You still can't answer the question. He does not belong in court. End of story. Bye. F the jury. F everybody.
Tom,
F the judge.
I don't know how you can speak, Vinny, with Trump's dang so far in your mouth right now.
Adam, you voted for Joe Biden.
Yeah, but now
you
I'm
voted
not.
for fucking Joe Biden. Are you talking to me about Trump?
That means I have no
You voted
credibility?
for Hillary and you voted for Joe Biden. And you're talking shit to me.
So my past, because I did vote for them.
Yeah, it says a lot about you.
Doesn't mean okay.
And Trump, tell me Trump.
Didn't you vote
isn't
for
that 10
Obama?
times? No, who the fuck voted? I didn't vote for none of those losers.
Okay.
Period. Trump is the first person I voted for,
So
and he's
you're-
the best president. Period.
Okay.
Name a better one.
What I'm saying,
Bill. Bill.
As far
Bill
as
Clinton?
as far as what goes, do you want to go?
Adam,
do you want to say approval ratings?
Adam, you're talking about nuts and stuff in the face.
You know what you should say?
Yeah.
Instead of angry patriot, emotional angry patriot.
Yeah.
Your ability
How about
to reason, my brother, has
You
gone
can't-
out the window.
You can't even answer a question.
Look at
You still haven't
approval.
answered-
Look at
you still haven't
approval
answered the
ratings.
question.
You're asking if like
They don't
Trump-
cheat, Adam. They don't cheat.
They all cheat.
No, they don't.
Let me
Yeah,
ask
Trump
you a question.
cheated.
How like okay, so how many Americans right now are having these types of fiery conversations?
If they're not, they should be.
How many families, brothers, siblings, co-workers, how many people are having conversations like this? How many people are having this where one side is saying, dude, should he even be there? And the other side is saying, show me the jury, show me what the jury did, show me the proof, show me the this, show me the that. I can only imagine the amount of stuff like that that's taking place right now. But at the same time, you got the other side where he actually has done stuff. Nothing's happening to him right now. Half of America is furious because Joe Biden and him saying, I told the judge, I told him, if you don't do this, I'm not going to give you the money. I'm not going to give you that. On a videotape. It's not like that's not recorded. That's on a video bragging about the amount of power that he has and the stuff that he's done. What's happening with him to be held accountable? What's going to happen with Hunter Biden? Who knows? Are they going to come out and say, well, you know, he really didn't do that because he was on drugs and that's why we got to let the case go? I mean, you have to know the trust in DOJ, CIA, FBI is the lowest for a reason. That's not accidental. Yeah. That is coming from somewhere. Where it is, who knows? And by the way before we got Twitter files, when did Twitter files come out, Rob? When did Twitter files come out?
22.
Exact date. Like when was Twitter files?
March
2022.
Okay, December 2022.
15 months.
When was the New York Post Twitter not allowing Hunter Biden laptop story to go out? Is that
October 2020.
Was it
October
October
2020?
Yeah.
October 2020.
So you go from October 2020, it took us 26 months to find out the truth that they were full of shit. Okay? Yeah. That's how long it took us. So now, while we're arguing about this, Russia collusion, a lot of people bought into it. How long did it take to realize that was fake?
3 years.
3 years?
Yep.
People
3
years,
still
4
believe it.
years?
Yep.
Something like that. How long did it take us to realize the Twitter, New York Post story was, internally they were home? 26 months. How long will it take us that there were people on this year? It may be 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 years, but whoever that said there was nothing going on is going to have to eat their words if it does. Vice versa for whatever it is. It's just pretty weird what they're doing to this guy. And what did Bill Clinton pay for hush money? How much? $850,000?
$850,000 to what
What was
the
the number? $800,000. She even held the check up, right?
I love
There's
it.
a picture to put the check up.
Yeah,
What
stand-up guy.
what happened to him? What did they do to him? Did he become a convicted felon? Did anything happen there?
No, what do you mean?
I don't know. I mean, there's so many different things.
Juanita Broderick said he
Yeah.
raped, he freaking sexually assaulted and raped.
Let's go through this next story, and then maybe we'll got a couple more minutes and we'll wrap up. So listen, if you're a comedian and you tell jokes about a father's kid in the way that this man did, you may have somebody coming and facing you here shortly as well. Rob, if you got the clip, play the clip first. But actually, before playing the clip, Vinny, why don't you tell us what's going on with this clip here?
Okay, so a Spanish comedian was attacked mid-show by a father who accused him, it was actually real, of making sexualized comments about his 3-month-old son. Jamie Caravaca, a Spanish comedian who was right in the middle performing during a show in Madrid on Monday, was attacked by the father who walked on stage and clocked the hell out.
By the way, that's the tweet. Go back to the tweet.
yeah.
So that's the picture of the father and the son, and then he comments below.
So that's Jamie. And for people that know how to speak Spanish, I'm going to break it down just very short. It says, nothing and no one can prevent the possibility that his son is gay, and when he grows up, he gets tired tired of sucking black, you fill in the blank. That's what the comedian is writing about his 3-month-old son, because the father wrote Pride and Joy at the top. Pride and Joy.
But do they know each other at all or no?
I think the comedian knows him because the father's a right-wing guy and the comedian's a LGBTQ plus whatever the hell.
So let's just see what happens here with the show.
Yeah.
Go ahead and play the clip.
This is him coming to his stand-up comedy show. He's like, who are you?
Estos los comentarios pedófilos que han hecho de mi hijo, Dime ahora los comentarios de mi hijo, Basura, ahora, ¿Qué decías que
He's like,
iba a
talk
comer
that crap
dinero?
now.
Mi hijo iba a comer pollas, Con 3 meses, Basura.
Yeah, do it
¿Ahora
now.
qué? Dímelo a la cara. Aquí
Yeah, say it to
ahora.
my face.
Dímelo ahora. Perdonad,
He's like, I got no problem with you guys.
Lo siento, os pido perdón.
Comedian shitting in his pants.
Soy únicamente un padre que defiende a sus hijos.
Second
Por
for
esos
son.
comentarios sexualizantes de mi hijo de 3 meses.
3-month-old son, he's talking
shit. No, ahora vas y me denuncias. Ya está.
Look,
¿Qué miras? ¿Qué te pasa?
He hits him again. Yeah, get that hand slap. Get him. Yeah, boom. Yeah. So think about it. A 3-month-old baby, and you say stuff like he's going to grow
Words
up.
have consequences.
Yeah, and listen, I had one time, PBD, a drunk guy tried to walk on stage, and I kicked him right in his chest. It was at the Haha Comedy Club. I just bow.
So, Vinny, who's in the right, who's in the wrong here? You're a comedian. You also get a lot of love and hate online. Where do you go with this?
I mean, dude, here's my thing. I mean, attacking a comedian on stage, you have the right to fight back. But listen, I don't have kids, but I can only imagine if that was just my niece or my nephew. And you guys are fathers, so I'm pretty sure you guys would know. If you posted something on Twitter or X, and somebody put, he's going to grow up and probably be gay and he's going to be sucking black, you know what? I don't know about you two. I'm going to find him as well. What would you do? Yeah, of course
You would
I
go find the guy and beat him up?
I would probably do something
do
like
that?
that. Yeah, if that was my kid, yes. Like, what are we talking about? Like,
Tom.
Look, the price of freedom of speech is free speech.
Yeah.
And you may hate what a comedian says. You may just make your blood boil. But, it's free speech. Now, if he's doxing and inciting violence and things like that, I'm going to take steps and protect my family.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay? And I will.
Yeah.
But you know what? If you've determined that you need to go door to door and punch everybody in the mouth that says something horrible, you know what? You'll have no time for anything else in your life because you'll be too busy punching people.
Yeah.
And I think we need to accept that, comedy is free speech. And if you don't like what the guy said online, you can block him, you can mute him, you can turn it off. It doesn't mean that guy's not pissed off. And for people that would walk over the line, I think comedians need to understand your words may have consequences. They may not be legal.
Yeah, of course.
But, your jaw gets broken, you don't have health care, and that's a consequence you leave with, even if the other guy's guilty of assault.
Yeah.
So I think words have consequences, and if you're going to be a comedian, you can't just sit behind free speech. That may be the legal thing, but there may be people angry enough to meet you and pop you.
Yeah, especially when it comes to a 3-month-old kid. If that guy had a gun, that would have been a whole different story.
And by the way, what if you tick off somebody that is a little touched and a little unstable? And it's a knife or it's a gun or it's a brick and you're getting in your car at the end of the show.
I actually love this story because I think this is completely indicative of where we are in society now. Here's this comedian, probably not a great comedian. Looks like he's doing a open mic special on a Tuesday night, not exactly a big crowd. And he gets a little lippy, like a lot of people in the comment section like to do from time to time. But hate never comes from above. It always comes from below. It usually comes from people who are unhappy with their lives, fat, losers, broke, living home with their mom basement, and this is their outlet. This is their chance to tell the person out there what's wrong with their life. But I'm actually on the side of the comedian because I believe in free speech. For the losers out there making comments, keep commenting. But because in a court of law, who's going to be in trouble here? The comedian with the horrible jokes and the stupid comments, or the guy that whoops his ass? It's going to be the guy that whoops his ass.
And just FYI, the cops, nobody pressed charges. The cops showed up.
Okay.
The comedian knew. Listen,
because the comedian knew that he actually probably should get his ass whooped. You're talking about a guy's 3-month-old baby wishing him whatever he wished him.
Exactly.
So
That's my
in a
point.
court of
Words
law,
have consequences,
in a court of
even if
law,
it's not legal.
the guy that showed up, he'd be in trouble.
Well, assault for sure.
But we all emotionally understand.
Yes.
The guy that made the comment
It's deserving.
sort of deserves an
Yeah.
ass whooping.
Yeah.
And that's where we're at in society, is that people feel very entitled to say whatever they want to anybody online.
Until somebody shows up.
Go say that to somebody's face.
Yeah.
People are, Mike Tyson ain't shit. Go say that to Mike Tyson's face, buddy.
Never happened.
Okay? Oh, this guy's a criminal. He's a piece of shit. Go say that to somebody's face. Most people are not tough. Most people actually need an ass whooping these days because they feel real entitled to say whatever they want online. Last point, Drake said in a famous line, I say it all the time, trigger fingers turn to Twitter fingers. Everybody tough online. You get your little keyboard warriors and your drunk muscles. They are popping off. You ain't saying shit to anybody in real life.
Yeah. I mean, listen, I totally understand the father, and I understand the guy's right to freedom of speech, but I also understand the dad that came and put an ass whooping on him. And I applaud you, Mr. Whoever you are out there, protecting your kid.
Albert.
I applaud you, even though you were guilty. Because people have to know certain things you can't cross the line with, families being one of them. Unfortunately, as you have kids later on in life, people are going to do things to your kids that every time Tico goes to school or Dylan goes to school, I got 2 girls. Every time somebody says something to my girls, I have to go to school and kick their ass.
Exactly.
It's going to be a very difficult life.
Pat, I was just going to ask you that.
Hey, no, wait, guys, another podcast canceled. What happened? We can't talk about it.
Somebody said
Pat's gone for 3 weeks, but what? It's a vacation.
You'd be very busy. You'd be too busy. You'd be so busy kicking people's ass, you can't do the podcast.
Real talk. You know that there's, certain red lines here.
Yeah.
If you actually emotionally reacted to every comment, bro, how many ass whoopings would you give out there?
But I think this is deeper.
Deep.
If there has to be a relationship there where you're doing that. Don't get me wrong. I mean, I understand. I get it all the time. I get a lot of dumb comments from a lot of different people that. We've been getting this for a long. When you run a business and you start winning, you're going to get a lot of weird comments.
Exactly.
But I understand with the father why he did what he did, and in a way, I respect it. In a way, I respect the fact that he's doing that. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I want to go to the next one here. Rob, I want you to pull this story up so when I'm reading it, I want the audience to read together. I'm going to read you a bedtime story. And this is the drag queen, the Daily Mail. If you can go to if you can actually go to the link of the story, Rob, that'd be great. Go to the story. Let's read this together, okay? A drag queen with very crude name performs in front of children at Maine Pride event. Now, let's read this together, Rob. If you can go to the part where I can read the name of the drag queen right there. A small town in Maine held its first Pride event where a lewdly named drag queen performed in front of children. Let's go with the name. Letta Dickin. Okay?
Letta Dickin.
The self-proclaimed #1 plus size drag queen in the state.
We lost
gave
it.
what? What does it go a little bit? Lip sync to songs and read books at Wyndham Raymond Pride celebration on Sunday. Is there a video to look at? Because it's yellow, Rob. So you may have a video of this.
There's a video of the drag queen performer explaining why it's important to do drag queen story time for kids.
And plus size means big.
Let's see what he says.
About Pride in general, that we're celebrating the youth, our queer elders, and all of us together.
But why is drag story time so important?
I think a lot of times, like with myself in particular, like when I do drag story time, I'm very, like I choose out books that have a message or have themes that
you're baptizing
kids
grooming. It's called
can
grooming.
take from.
Yeah.
Like recently I did one that was all about pronouns.
Oh my God.
I think it's a beautiful thing because if everyone can put on whatever gender.
So what do you think about Letta?
First of all, your name is Letta Dickens. You're going in front of children. If that is not indoctrination and trying to look, by the way, they're not having kids. You think that beast in the middle is ever having kids? No, he wants your kids. They want your kids to be around you. I sent Rob, did you see the video in the West Hollywood, Rob? The one that I sent you? So there's the Pride Parade in West Hollywood. There's a outside. Just please explain to me. You know there's kids there. You know there's families. You know there's people. First of all, hold on. Adam, that might be you. I don't know if that's Adam in the middle, but like, before you play it, there's a gay guy on the live panel, and the co-host asked him, what is his favorite part of this Pride event?
Weren't you just at the Pride event in Orlando?
Adam, that's neither here nor there.
No, we have images of you at the Pride event in Orlando.
But hold on.
While I was at a model competition with hundreds of hot chicks in Miami.
Can we get to the story?
No, let's go ahead.
Can we finish?
Hot chicks with dicks.
Can we finish the story from the guy that voted for Joe Biden and Hillary Clinton? Can I watch this?
But let's
first of all, how is
let's
this?
show the image of the Orlando gay pride parade that Vinny was participating in.
Show us what letter.
So
let it dick in, Vinny. Go for it.
So let it dick in. Shut your mouth before I put one in it. Listen.
Exactly. That's my point.
So
that's Vinny, guys.
Play it. Play it.
Wants to do that to me.
Shut up.
He wants to let a dick in my mouth. Thanks, Vinny.
Let's let Adam do a stand-up comedy. Do your stand-up comedy and bomb. Go ahead. Let's listen to you do stand-up. Does anybody want more of Adam? Shut up and let me play the video.
Go ahead.
So I want to explain to the people.
Play the video of you on the
this guy
on the truck.
is relentless.
Play the video, right?
But I want to.
Adam, let him do it. Play the video.
This is the Tom element.
Could I
play the video. Play the video.
Yeah, go ahead.
I really can't. You know, I met that dancing bear out here in front of the WeHo. Oh my gosh.
What has been your favorite part of this event so far?
I loved going out there and seeing all the kids.
And they cut it. So he likes seeing all the kids. So here's my thing. They want to sexualize the children. How is that? People in G-strings, if that was a normal day, if that wasn't June, would that be tolerated? I'm asking you guys, like, honestly, if that wasn't June, what does this have to do about being proud about being gay? I don't understand the sexualization. You know that there's children, and I hate, and if the family, if you bring your kids to some shit like that, child services should visit you and have a talk to you. You know what they're going to get. You know what they're going to see, Tom. It's nudity and it's hypersexualization. That behavior, this is nothing. They're in G-string standing on the fire truck, right? If you've seen the videos of the guys with their asses and their naked dicks out in front of kids, and people always go, well, the parents brought them, then get the parents in trouble too. Everybody should be like, that. Look at that behavior. Like, what are we talking about? What does that have to do with you being proud for the accomplishment for what gay people? Look at that shit.
No. This can you whoever's in the back, can you show this clip?
Yeah.
Why? So go back to this clip. Look at the kids. Look at the kids right in front of me.
This is last year. Look, what the fuck? What are you doing? Look, you don't think that's going to be cemented in their head?
First of all, two things. One, that's in front of Capitol Grill. Look at the Capitol Grill.
Yes.
That's a bad look for Capitol Grill.
Yeah, no shit.
Two, that guy belongs in jail for doing that to the kids. Three, the parents that brought the kids out.
Yes.
What the hell are you thinking?
Yeah.
But by the way, to me, 100% of the responsibility is on the parents.
Totally agree.
I'm putting 100% of the responsibility on the parents. What is this guy doing?
Let's turn this off, guys.
Yeah. So
Rob just ran the funniest poll, by the way.
What was it?
Rob ran the funniest poll I just saw. He says, who is more likely to go to a gay parade, a parade, Adam or Vinny? Now you
share the stupid results. Go ahead.
Well, of course, the results are 98% Vinny.
But can I ask you a question?
It's almost like people have no clue what I do in Miami and South Beach.
No, we do. Hang on, keep going. Wrap it up.
Adam,
hey, but that's okay for you. It's okay. We're not judging.
No, I want your guys' honest opinion because you said 100%
Such
of
losers in the poll.
Adam, you said no because I wanted your guys' opinion. The parents 100%, right? But for the guys that are still doing it, knowing that they're kids, shouldn't they have some responsibility too? I think they should. The parents, for sure.
No,
you don't bring
laws allow. If laws allow for him to do it, it's not on that guy.
So what's the law? So what's the law about? Like, because by the way, I've seen them with their asses out and their penises out. How is that legal? Because if it's a month,
I wish that we had a lawyer here, but I'll say one thing: this should be criminalized for lewd and lascivious conduct. It's disgusting.
Thank you.
That a guy would even have that. Like, all right, I see kids here. Let me twerk with tighty whities. By the way, I don't know anybody that wears tighty whities anymore, other than Tom. But the point is this:
I didn't know they made those that big. You see
exactly. There you go.
Oh my God!
But I do believe in free market capitalism.
Yeah. It's a sale off a sailboat.
Freedom to buy, freedom to sell, freedom to try, freedom to fail. But it's on the parents, bro. Why? Like if my kids are here, and I'm with my kids, or I'm up with my nephew, with my sister's son, and I see this, dude, we're out of here. What are we doing?
Yeah. And they're pushing them to the front.
What are we doing over here? So at what point did gay rights? Look, when Harvey Milk was doing his thing in the 70s, whatever the hell it was.
Congratulations.
I could just only imagine that they were actually marching for rights.
Yes.
This is no longer gay rights. This is full-on degeneracy.
I love that you said that.
And it's
That's
disgusting.
what it is. That's what it is.
But if these guys want to be idiots and twerk and just be fat, naked bears out there doing their thing, they can do that. That's actually not illegal. But the kids there, stay away from the freaking kids. That's on the parents.
Yeah.
Why would they take them there?
I think it's on the parents. And by the way, if laws like this exist, a guy sent me something the other day, which I thought was very weird. This, by the way, Manect is becoming a tool where a lot of people are sending us stuff to look at, to bring up for the next stories. This one guy sent me something very, very interesting, which was weird. Okay, Rob, I want to send this to you, and I want you to pull this up. By the way, for some of you guys are like, no, there are laws against this and that stuff. You cannot be doing this. Can you show everybody's Manect, Vinny, or Adam, or Tom, and let them know there is something like this, that you cannot be behaving this way? We'd love to know. If you're a lawyer watching this, send us a Manect. We want to know about it. However,
public indecency.
Somebody sent me this a couple days ago where I'm like, wait a minute, is this even real? Like, you almost have to ask the question if this is real. And it has to do from, Rob, if you can pull this up. This is from democratshomeland.house.gov news, okay? If you can pull up the story I just sent you, I want to read it to everybody. Just kind of weird. So this is a month ago, 6 weeks ago. Ranking member Thompson introduces legislation to ensure no Secret Service protection for convicted felons sentenced to prison. This just came out a month and a half before they announced he's a convicted felon. What does this mean? Who knows? Let's read it. Today, Representative Benny G. Thompson, Democrat, ranking member of the Committee of Homeland Security, introduced the Denying of Infinite Security and Government Resources Allocated Towards Convicted and Extremely Dishonorable Former Protectees Act, or Disgraced Former Protectees Act. This legislation would reform the U.S. Secret Service protective mission by automatically terminating Secret Service protection for those who have been sentenced to prison following conviction for a federal or state felony, clarifying that prison authorities would be responsible for protection of all inmates regardless. Unfortunately, current law doesn't anticipate how Secret Service protection would immediately impact the felony prison sentence of a protectee. Even a former president.
What?
Even a former president, it is regrettable that it has come to this, but this previously thought of scenario could become our reality. Therefore, it is necessary for us to be prepared and update the law so that the American people can be assured that protective status does not translate into special treatment, and that those who are sentenced to prison will indeed serve the time and require them. Hence, this legislation is co-sponsored by Representative Tony Carter, Barbara Lee, Frederica Wilson, Yvette D. Clark, Bonnie Watson, Coleman, Jasmine Crockett, you know who that is?
I know exactly who.
Joyce Beatty, and Steve Cohen.
Wow.
So let me get this straight. What is the one thing we've been talking about that we have to be careful with? Remember the night that we did the Convicted Felon podcast? We had, 66,000 live concurred listen to the podcast, and we...
Oh, the reaction.
The reaction video that we did on whatever the night was. It was some night. It could have been a Monday night. I don't know what night it was, but we did it. Rob, you would remember the day.
Thursday.
Thursday night. So how come no one's reported on this story? So let me get this straight. You know, Comey said, Manchin said there's no way he's going to go to jail. Comey said there may. And that's the part I wanted to find to show you guys, because Comey says in that clip with that girl from CNN, Comey says, look, the way he's been disrespecting them, they could potentially put him in jail because he continues to insult.
He's begging for a jail sentence.
Begging for it.
He's continuing to insult, and she keeps asking, you really believe, Rob, if you just go to CNN, and you pull up this clip, if you just go to CNN, you pull up the clip I just text, just go to CNN, just go to YouTube, type in CNN, and type in Comey. You go, there you go, you got it. So play the clip and go to the tail end of it. It's like two-thirds of way in. And he keeps saying, I don't know. I think because Trump keeps disrespecting, I think he could go to jail. I don't know. The stuff that I don't know, he could go to jail, right? And remember, play the clip. He'll know. He told me he believes.
Nauseating similarities, as he described it, between how that report characterized President Biden while not charging him And with your actions in 2016 with respect to Hillary Clinton and her email investigation.
Go forward a little bit.
What we tried to didn't rock sense.
Rob, why don't you listen to the individual and see if you can find it or bring it back to us? But here's what happened. Do you remember when 2 weeks ago they asked him, do you think he'll be convicted?
Yeah.
What was his answer?
Oh, for sure.
So do you think he knew or do you think he's guessing?
I think he knew 100%.
Okay. So watch this. If there's
100%,
if there's anybody that I pay attention to the words that are coming out of their mouth to see what's going to happen is this guy. Because they're friends of his and they're calling him saying, what do you think? What should be careful? If he's saying that Trump could go to jail, you better bank on this 70% that he may go to jail on July 11th. So if on July 11th, which is 2 weeks after the debate, if on July 11th, the judge who cannot stand Trump decides to put him in jail, then they have now a law to essentially try to remove Secret Service.
Wow.
What they're trying to, this is all, guys, go do your own research. This then creates an environment where now they can do what they can. It's the last straw to be able to eliminate him.
Wow.
This is my concern.
In prison with no Secret Service. Who's watching
This
him?
is my concern.
Just the regular freaking COs?
And by the way, don't forget, like when you think about Sirhan, we were talking about this briefly last night. Yeah. These people were doing it to be heroes because they felt they were being patriotic to somebody. How many people out there that have not much going on with their lives that are willing to lose it all or willing to do something to be a hero to others that wish somebody would done that to them? Especially after a movie like Civil War that comes out. So to me, Rob, did you find the clip on what he says?
I believe this is it. This is the clip from...
Go ahead, play it.
You think Judge Merchan should take everything he said? He has called Judge Merchan a tyrant. He likened him to the devil. Every day before he walked into that courtroom, he said he was corrupt, baselessly. Do you think the judge will take that into consideration when he does sentence him in a few weeks?
I do, as well as him having to find that the defendant had acted in contempt of the court's orders on multiple occasions. All of that will be part of the picture that the judge looks at to decide whether a message needs to be sent that involves jail.
Ugh.
As a former FBI director,
Bingo.
what's it
So
like
what's he saying?
To see?
He's saying you better be quiet. Trump's not going to be quiet. If Trump's not quiet, Trump's going to go to jail. If Trump goes to jail, the definition of that article, which was what? A convicted felon that what? What's the key word? A convicted felon that's sentenced
to prison.
So for this, whatever this is from a month and a half ago that they introduced this bill, April, what's the date again?
April
at the
2024.
April 19th. For this bill to be activated, they would have to sentence him to prison.
Wow.
And it also says, even a former president on the second line. Rob, can you put this link below in the chat so everybody can go look at this link for themselves? Do your due diligence, do your research. If you want to send us anything else on Manek, we're all around. But someone sent this to me. Whoa. They don't want their names to be told. But I thought it was interesting that this has been so quietly, no one's talked about it.
I'm curious to the status of this legislation that they announced. They introduced this bill. I wonder where it's at. You know what I mean? That'd be a good question.
All you need to do is get the bill number, and it'll be HRC.
Okay.
And then it'll have like a 5-digit or a 4-digit number after it, and a letter, usually.
Find out, is there a number for the bill?
What do you call it? HRC. So HR. So House of Representatives 8081. And all you have to do is Google that, and you'll see the status of it on any given day. Is it coming up for a vote? How do people vote on it? Is it in committee? And who's leading that committee? And then it gets handed off to the Senate. But HR 8081. Everybody, you can check it every morning and keep your friends and everybody alert and aware of what's happening in the country around you.
Somewhere it's in progress. It hasn't been knocked down. Disgraced Former Protectees Act. That's crazy.
Oh, and that's what they call it. Disgraced Former Protectees Act.
Is that wild?
Yeah.
So latest action referred to the House Committee on the Judiciary. So it's gone to committee, and then the committee will come, and then after committee, the committee will let it come out for a vote of the White House.
Well, they have a couple.
That's the next step. That's how the sausage is made.
Yeah.
There you go. Pay close attention to it. Anyways, guys, Rob, do we have another podcast tomorrow or no?
Tomorrow, 9 a.m., Tom Fitton from Judicial Watch.
9 a.m. from Judicial Watch.
Yes, sir.
This will be something that we'll talk about for sure with him when it comes out tomorrow. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye, bye-bye.